I'm in a race with time. I put my life on the record, always giving it effort at night. I'm always restless, this music's a life sentence. Perfecting my craft in seconds, the essences of the herb used to make the world turn. People earn was not deserved, while the weak get knocked down. Got people losing their health, this evil's making me mad. I hope I make my father proud, devote my life to writing raps. I hope I'm on the right path, spending years of my life that I could never take back. I lost friends.
Welcome to Face Off. This week I want to talk about articles that are being written, almost writing off the automotive business yet again in this coming year. It's interesting to me how people seem to forget where not only this business but the country's economic state was just back in 2007, 2008. I don't think it gets much worse than it was back then. And somehow the automotive business survived along with everyone else. And what I really want to talk about, I saw an article written about Mike Jackson in Forbes magazine not too long ago, talking about how new car sales should be down this year, profits are going to be down this year, really almost like a gloom and doom type of thing. And I've seen in other articles and watching the market that large automotive retailers, their stocks are down. Some as much as 35 and 36% over the course of the year. And I started thinking about it, and it occurred to me that things don't look so great. But what does all this stem from? Well, some people say, well, it's from the manufacturing side. Manufacturing is cutting the cost and squeezing the retail side of things and the dealers. Some people would say that there's going to be tightening of lending in the coming future, and so everybody's kind of bracing themselves. Some people say that there's going to be an actual bubble that's going to burst in the finance industry, which I don't see that happening. I think a lot of people really don't understand the finance side of things when they talk about the automotive finance business and can try and compare it to the mortgage industry. It's two totally different types of deal. But that's not really what I want to talk about. I want to talk about going forward, what are we going to do as a collective in the automotive industry to make our industry better? What are we going to do for, let's say this year is going to be bad. What are we going to do this year to improve our situation, make sure we get through it? Normally this is not the type of show we would do where we go and talk about, sales strategies or things of that nature, and this is not going to be that type of show today. I want to really just discuss what I think a lot of this stems from. When you look at 2007 and 2008 and how our economic conditions changed almost, it seems like overnight. You had the financial collapse, you had dealerships going out of business, you had manufacturers forcing dealers out of business, and while that was not great, some of that had to, I think, occur. You saw the weak get pruned out, and you've seen the strong, in some cases, survive. You had some dealerships that we all know probably shouldn't have been shut down or shouldn't have been forced to sell or whatever, that were. But the long short of the thing is that some of those dealerships did have to go. For the business to survive, some of those dealerships had to go. There was too many makes and models, Saturns and things of that nature, that really just clouded the entire automotive business retail scene. So what are we going to do moving forward? I keep seeing these articles about profits going down on the new car side. What are new car dealerships going to do? And really, when you sit back and start thinking about it, we're going to do the same thing that we've always done. We're going to survive. Some people are going to survive, some people are going to suffer. Whether it's this year, next year, or 10 years from now, whenever there is the next economic climate that collapses on us, we're going to survive it the same way we survived this past time. We're going to pull up our bootstraps and push forward. But I think the biggest issue that we have going forward is not the economic climate. It's not whether the Fed's going to raise interest rates and lenders are going to start tightening their restrictions. We have two issues in the automotive industry. The first one is a lack of leadership. We have a lack of leadership issue in the business. Time and time again, and this is not something that's just happened overnight, this is something that's been going on for over 30 years. Time and time again, you can go into, I would say 75% of the dealerships in America and find out that you have a sales staff that's not properly trained. And why is that? Well, if you ask dealer principals, they'll tell you, well, I spend tons of money on training my salespeople. They'll send somebody in, they'll come in and do a bang out job for a week of training, and then they leave. And then the salespeople are left there with management that says, okay, my guys are trained, let's continue to sell cars. And then that's it. The biggest issue today in our industry is the lack of training. It cannot just be a 5-day thing. Someone comes in, pumps the guys up, trains them, and leaves. It has to be continual. It has to be an every single thing, every day thing. Walk-arounds every single day. How many dealerships have you gone to in America where literally every other day they're doing walk-around scenarios with their salespeople? Doesn't happen. How many times do you do mock sales where you actually writing up a deal structure with a pretend customer and going back to the desk and negotiating, helping your salespeople and your management get better? It doesn't really happen. And I really think that that's the issue moving forward. If we want to get better and survive the next big financial collapse or the next big financial issue in our country, and this business is going to survive, we have to sharpen our tools, sharpen our salespeople, sharpen our management, and get them prepared for that. And it goes with constant training every single day in the dealership. Not 5 days where you have someone come in and talk to your sales staff and your management, but every single day. It has to be an every single day thing. The lack of leadership in this industry is staggering to me, because you would think sales managers would take the time to do training with their salespeople, help them grow, and you really don't see that. This industry has changed a lot, and I think in a lot of ways it's changed for the better, and I think in a lot of ways it's changed for the worse. But the one thing I noticed that still has not changed in the industry is that I have a secret type of mentality. I have a secret type of mentality inside the store, which is crazy to me. Why wouldn't your management staff want to help and get your salespeople up and running and get them better and prepare them for possible management positions and things of that nature? You just don't see it. And I think to survive the next financial issue that's going to hit us, you have to have proper training. You have to have your salespeople who know how to hold gross, who know how to sell cars. And your management staff has to be able to help them along that process. That, to me, I think is the biggest obstacle we have going forward. So number one is leadership. Leadership is lacking, and to me it breaks my heart because I see it every single day in dealerships from a management level. I think the next thing too is creativity. The second thing that I think is a huge issue in our industry is creativity. Where is the creativity in this industry? It seems like everybody is still stuck doing the same old thing over and over and over again. You have some dealers that are very creative, and they're the ones, surprisingly enough, surprise, surprise, are the ones that are kicking everybody else's butt in sales. They're the ones that make more money. The reason being because they are creative. They think outside the box. You know, we as technology grows has to get more creative and has to stop blaming everything around us. We complain the true cars of the world when profit margins are down, or this guy across the street selling more cars than us. We blame this internet website, that internet website. These things have to stop. We need to take responsibility of what goes on in our car stores. We have to be leaders. And the only way we're going to do that is to be creative. There's more than one way to skin a cat. There's more than one way to sell a car deal. And at the end of the day, we have to be creative and find new ways to get customers into our store. I keep hearing these things, well, you know, Chris, this year's going to be tough because all those dealer incentives at the end of last year have taken customers out of the market. Sounds like an opportunity. What about all the leases that are coming up this year? According to Manheim economics that work for Manheim, They're predicting that somewhere along the lines of 20,000 vehicles are coming off lease this year. Those are 20,000 new prospective car buyers coming into the market, coming out of the market, coming into the market. Then you have even more than that of people that have been in their car for 3 or 4 years. So what are we really concerned about? Sure, some people that may have bought this year were taken out of the market. Again, that's not the issue. The issue is, how are we going to get creative to continue selling cars to these individuals? That's all I have for you this week. That is Face Off, and this was a Fritz Rant. I'll see you next week right here at the Autotainment Network.
I'm in a race with time. I put my life on the record, always giving it effort at night. I'm always restless, this music's a life sentence. Perfecting my craft in seconds, the essences of the herb used to make the world turn. People earn what's not deserved, while the weak get knocked down. Got people losing their health, this evil's making me glad. I hope I make my father proud, devote my life to writing raps. I hope I'm on the right path, spending years of my life that I could never take back. I lost friends.
in this world and they made me a monster. And if you wanna feature on your record, it'll cost ya. Seen so many men turn imposters and go and sell they soul for some money and some sponsors. And the youth feel entitled. Got the whole world in this feeling suicidal. We all on the brink, but we need to stop and think. And we need to learn to swim, not to train how to sink. And I'm feeling out of sync and I haven't been myself. And I'm feeling pretty down, but I never asked for help. Yeah, and I need to stay motivated. And my goals stay concentrated. I will overcome the world even with the odds against me. So don't even tempt me. I will overcome the world even with the odds against me. So don't even tempt me. I will overcome the world even with the odds against me. So don't even tempt me. I will overcome the world even with the odds against me. You better not tempt me. Me and that finish line about to be reacquainted. And I know I need to stop getting agitated at whatever the world throws at me. And I know they're trying to keep me under lock and key. Shock the whole world like OMG. Saying that I changed, but you know it's still me. At the end of the tourney lifting trophies. And the MVP title so me. Put the team on my back, we a dynasty. Waiting long for a win, so finally. Yeah, you only fail if you don't try. Positive thoughts, be a gold mine. You can achieve it all if you set your goals. Speed racer, I set poles. If your spirit's strong, then your body falls in line. Keep an open mind, then you'll see the sign. Let's go. I will overcome the world even with the odds against me. So don't even tempt me. I will overcome the world even with the odds against me. So don't even tempt me. I will overcome the world even with the odds against me. So don't even tempt me. I will overcome the world even with the odds against me. You better not tempt me. If you wanna talk about success, you know I speak fluent. If you wanna change the world, all you do is do it. Gonna get what I deserve, gonna get what I have earned. Now I know it's my time to take my turn. Trouble popping up, but I tell that swerve. And I wood grain gripping, going 50 round the curve. But I know it's about to ride, I know it's all mine. And I don't even care about the car that I drive, cause I own it, I own it, I own it. And if I had a jet, then you knew I would've flown it. Knocking down opponents, taking out my camera and I'm cherishing the moment. Cause time flies, and I'm never in coach. And life's so good, I don't walk, I just float. Yo, and I know I make the most. And lift your glass high, cause it's time to make a toast. I will overcome the world even with the odds against me. So don't even tempt me. I will overcome the world even with the odds against me. So don't even tempt me. I will overcome the world even with the odds against me. So don't even tempt me. I will overcome the world even with the odds against me. You better not tempt me.
guys, what's up? Welcome to episode 4 of Just a Millennial. This is Mikey Okendo.
I'm Mike Cherub.
And today we've got some awesome topics. We're going to be talking about Yahoo, how thinking everyone else is like you is ruining your sales process, how successful selling is a long-term game, and why you should hire good people and not great people. Intro.
Now intro. I control this ship. Welcome back from that wonderful intro. Again, as we said before, this is Mikey. I am Mike. We are fresh off. Well, I say fresh. I mean, we just got back a couple days ago from Digital Dealer 20.
Yeah.
It was, right down the road from us in Orlando. So it was a fun experience. Shout out to Dealer On for the swag and the Let's Get It On shirt. Love
Is that
it.
what that is?
It is. It is Dealer On.
I didn't get one.
And shout out if she's watching. She is the queen of webinars. I remember you. I saw you every time. You hooked me up with my shirt.
That's pretty awesome.
We're good.
I mean, you got to be good with somebody who hooks you up with that shirt.
Oh yeah, I got to give him a shout out. But anyway, as Mikey said, today we have a lot of interesting topics. I'm going to take a sip of my Starbucks and let Mikey run with it.
Well, actually, it's funny. This is completely off topic, but I actually went to, it was my birthday over Digital Dealer,
Yeah.
which is funny. I turned 24 at Digital Dealer, which was, great way to celebrate. I was at a conference, and it was really fun. Honestly, it was a great conference. If you weren't there, you should watch Auto Dealer Live because this guy got tons of great footage of it. But it's funny.
I got little sleep too. That generally happens at conferences, but I'm used to it. I get used to it.
Any of us got good sleep. Like even Dave, just all of us were really tired.
I remember we got back and Dave was, and Dave's normally not the person, Dave's normally there after everybody. Dave was it was 4 o'clock and Dave was like, I'm heading home.
He never does that.
He never does it.
No.
It was pretty great.
And actually, as soon as we got back, we came back, was it that Thursday? Mm-hmm. So then came here, back home, went to work Friday, half the day, left because it was my birthday. My wife had a ton of stuff planned for the weekend, so I was excited, went up to Orlando again, literally went right back 2 minutes away from where we were. And then I get to go to Universal Studios, Disney. It was pretty fun.
Did you go to Harry Potter World?
Yeah, that's why I had that wizard hat on the table. I got a wizard hat. I got Dumbledore's wand. I'm a fan of Harry Potter. Everyone should be.
If you're not, contact us because we could probably sit down and sit you on our wonderful couch here and maybe have a session with you.
It's true. It was fun.
That's enough of the catch up.
We digress. That's what we did. That's what we did this week. It was fun. So you get to know us a little more.
It was definitely a lot of fun. I will say this so that we can move on. It's always fun hanging out with people we deal with on the show, talk to over the phone.
Yes.
Probably 2 of the biggest people I hung out with was Matt Koenig because he was our next door neighbor at our booth.
Yeah,
and Subi Ghosh, her show's on Thursdays right before Auto Dealer Live.
Watch it.
Tune into that.
That's right.
It's always great to hang out with people, and there was plenty of others. If I forgot you, don't heckle me on Twitter. Trust me, I know you. We hung out. We're good.
We remember you. But so, hopefully you guys had a good time. If you weren't at the conference, you should attend next time. We'll be there. We'll see you. But for today's show, let's get into it. So we're going to be talking about, well, first off, the whole thing that kicked this off was an article that Mike found online. And the first thing that I mentioned in the intro about Yahoo, you're like, why are we talking about Yahoo? Nobody cares about Yahoo.
Nobody talks about Yahoo ever.
It's freaking Google. Are you going to talk about Bing afterwards? Yeah.
No.
Okay, there's a reason for it though. So the article was really interesting.
So my wife actually ran across the article and sent it to me, and it was funny because it was Sunday afternoon, and we're sitting there, and she's watching. We're both watching TV, and she just randomly tells me, "I sent you an article," and I'm like, "What?" She never sends me anything like that. So She sent it to me, and the title of the article was interesting. It's why I just bought a used car online and why you should too.
And it's written by...
It is actually, he is the editor-in-chief of Yahoo Tech. His name is Dan Tynan. We'll go with Tynan. If I'm
Hopefully
wrong,
we're not butchering that.
if I'm wrong, Dan, you can actually call me or hit me up on social media. Let me know that I did something wrong. But it'd be probably cooler to know that you watched the show. So
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
But I won't go into the great amount of details. If you go on to Yahoo and search why I bought a used car online and why you should, you can find it. It was a really interesting read because he really kind of broke down each step of the process for buying a car. And
he's bought, what, 9 cars, he said?
Yeah, he's bought 9 cars over his lifetime, from kickers to brand new ones, from everything, front to back. So he's not a novice. It's not like it's his first car purchase. He's bought many cars. And the reason he ended up buying online was because he dreaded going to the dealership so much. And I mean, ultimately, the very end of the article, he said, as I'm pulling it up, I'm doing my scrolls now.
And this guy's not a millennial. Like, this is an experienced businessman, so we're not bringing you another sob story about some millennial who doesn't know how to negotiate and came to your lot and left like tears, like, oh God, I just want to crawl up in the fetal position. No. This is a reputable businessman. So let's hear what he has to say.
It says, after I clicked the buy button, a flatbed truck showed up at my house with the Elantra on the back. The driver, a courteous young man named Robert, showed up with a parcel of documents. This is the part he said he didn't like and he did say there were parts of this process he didn't like, which is why I recommend you read it.
Yes.
He said, I still had to sign my name 172 times, but there was no after-sale pressure, no arm twisting to buy additional service plans or undercoating. I didn't feel the need to curl up and take a nap afterwards. I wanted to climb behind the wheel and hit the accelerator because for the first time in my life, I just bought a car without driving it first, and it felt great.
And please don't turn off not the channel, it's not a channel, but don't X off of this because you think these guys just freaking started the show and they're already talking about some online buying process.
Oh yeah.
From Vroom or BP I think it was BP.
It was
he
actually,
bought his car.
He was watching, Carvana was not in his market.
Yeah. So he bought
I remember.
it from them.
So he ended up getting it, I believe, from BP, but he wanted to get it from Vroom because he said Vroom had a cooler name. BP, he said, was like a weird name.
Vroom is a lot better. BP's...
BP just doesn't sound like BP. Literally sounds like the people who sell the BB-8 droids for Star Wars.
Yeah, that's kind of anticlimactic.
A little bit.
Vroom is like, oh yeah, cool.
Yeah, you just vroom and you're good to go. But he's right. We're not sitting here jumping all over you guys to say sell everything online. We get it.
Just an interesting point. We're trying to get to it.
What was more interesting was actually the fact that he enjoyed the process of buying online, and that made me start to think, what is it, why is it customers dread coming to the dealership so much? For millennials, we sit there and we don't want to waste our time at a dealership, and that's truthfully about a lot of people. You don't want to spend hours at a dealership, and we get it. Buying a car is almost, similar to buying a house. It's a huge purchase. Yeah. There's a lot of different things that go into it, and we get it. But I think one of the main points that we really want to talk about is, how can you make your sales process fit your customers better? We get it. There's certain things you have to do. There's certain things that you don't necessarily have to do. I reference back to our first episode and something I reference a lot. Yeah. I never even needed to take a test drive of my car. I literally did it to waiting on my dad to get to the dealership, and I just didn't want to smoke another cigarette outside. It was like, okay, sure, let's take it for a ride.
And even if you say, as a dealer watching this, or someone watching this, well, yeah, sure, but that's the minority, whatever. I mean, that's not that big of a deal. It's a small customer percentage. Well, here's the thing. It's freaking market share. The point of this isn't for you to like he said, make your whole sales process online. The point of this is there is market share out there available for you to grab. And all you have to do is either adjust your process or add something to it like that, or literally anything that we're going to be talking about. And if you do that, you can just grab more share. We're not saying you aren't doing a good job, but anyone can do better.
I think a really good example of this, or a really good comparison that I've made in the past, is how many of your customers that you have that show up on your lot, for those of you that still do direct mail, are actually from direct mail. How many of your sales a month? There's probably a percentage of it. And if you have a really good company, probably your percentage is anywhere between 5 to 10%. It doesn't seem like a lot of your total sales. Mm-hmm. But what if you gained another 5 to 10% because you were able to buy online, or because your process was a little less stringent?
Sure.
I'm not necessarily advocating that everybody needs to go into online buying, because it's not for everybody. I don't necessarily like shopping online for some of my stuff. Some of my stuff I do. Some stuff with Amazon, I know exactly what I need to get, and I go in and I get it. But
Some stuff.
some stuff, yeah.
Have you had any Amazon nightmares?
Oh God, no, I haven't. I can't say I've had an Amazon nightmare yet.
That's good.
Thankfully. Although I'm waiting on the drone to take over, and then I think all the nightmares are really going to soar.
Yeah,
but
that's funny. Actually, you should tweet at us your Amazon nightmares if you have any. This would tie in pretty well. I mean, it has nothing to do with cars, but it would just be like funny to get your stories.
Yeah, we would actually love to hear them. Tweet us at JAM_ATN. Tweet us your nightmares, and if you can't fit it on Twitter, there's an app called like Twitlonger or something along those lines.
Something like that.
I see people from League of Legends use it all the time. It's basically it goes out to Twitter, but you can still write your full-blown story. Check it out. But anyway, so why not expand your sales? Maybe it takes you 5 to 6 months to establish how you're going to be able to market everything, or you find another company, or you do it all in-house, whatever way you want to take it. It's going to take some time to build the process. We understand that. But what if it's no different than buying a direct mail campaign, than maybe getting 10 customers that come in off your TV ads. What if that drives you another 5 sales a month? If you look at it in a long-term perspective, I don't know what your typical copy is on your cars, but let's just say, you're averaging anywhere between $750 to $1,000 per car, and I'm sure I'm lowballing this.
Sure.
But let's just say you bring in an additional 5 cars, that's close to $5,000 that you're making an extra a month, and then you take into account how much did you actually spend in the overall grand scheme of things. Buying online is met with such opposite. It's like there's no middle ground right now in this.
Right,
in this
you love
debacle.
it or hate it.
There's literally the dealers. A lot of dealers absolutely hate it, and I say this in the very nicest way because I don't mean it in a bad term, but vendors love it.
Sure, because they can make money off of it.
Because absolutely, and we understand why vendors love it. But we're not making money on this.
No,
we don't work for any of these companies. We're literally saying, if I could buy my car online right now, if I was going to go trade my car in and I could do all of it online, I would. Now, granted, I get it. There's parts of the sales process that has been ingrained that it is an emotional decision. We understand that. We get that emotion's involved, especially when somebody actually sits behind the car. And as they're driving the car, you can point the features out to them. But for some people like us, not even just us, my dad for that matter, if he could buy a car online, he would. Some things like that, they know what they want. They just know what they want and they want to get it,
And that's fine.
What's gonna, I know one of the biggest things with these, online is they're offering, I think it's 7 or 14 days.
Yeah, well, it's between 7 and 10 days for you to just completely give the car back if you don't like it.
Absolutely. And I mean, unless they just total the car, in which case I'm sure it's written into the fine print that
right.
It comes back in any less condition than it started in.
But if you just don't like it,
if you just don't like it and you take it back, I mean, where's the harm in it? Especially because we're talking about the used car market,
which is what this is.
New cars online, we're not even jumping in that market. That's a whole other monster. If you thought online car buying was bad, try telling people to buy new cars online. All the dealers will literally come at you with pitchforks.
Yeah, but the biggest thing for all of this is, whether you're talking about buying cars online, whether you're talking about doing part of the process online, if you're talking about one of the panels we had for Auto Dealer Live at Digital Dealer, whether you're talking about adjusting your F&I process, making it a hybrid process where it's partially online, partially in store, whatever it is you're talking about doing, implementing and adjusting into your overarching sales process that your customer has to go through and that your salespeople have to go through and your management, everyone. At the end of the day, all of this is really our main point is that for owners, for managers, for people who are putting these processes into place, thinking everyone else is like you is going to ruin your sales process. That was really our biggest point. And what do we mean by that? Well, really, it's pretty simple. How many times have you guys been in a meeting, a little powwow, everybody's standing around doing your weekly thing, and somebody brings up a point, you get your internet manager, he brings up something, maybe he talked to somebody and got some interesting insight into a way that their process could be adjusted at the dealership and brings up the point, or maybe it's not in a meeting, maybe it's in a one-on-one, whatever, wherever it happens. So somebody brings up something, hey, what if we implemented this in our process? Or, hey, I had a customer, a couple of people actually mentioned this. What do you think about doing that? And you hear the retort from either a manager or an owner or someone in leadership, and they say something along the lines of, I don't think anyone wants to do that. Or, no, you know, see, I hear you. I appreciate you bringing up that point, but I really don't think that there's a market for that. But like they say that, and they just say it immediately, right? Like I can't snap my fingers, so I just kind of did the motion. But they say it like real quick, and so you know that they're not basing it on any sort of data, more than likely, not all the time, but more than likely, they're not basing it off of an article or some sort of a data or a study or maybe even anything written at all, like in any, it's not like recent dealership statistics or anything like that. It's just what they think. And it's very simple. It's called false consensus bias. And it's basically when you think that everyone else is like you, which is a really boring term, I know, but that's really important. Like, how many times have you been in a meeting with somebody and they always say something like that back to you? They say something like, I don't think that people want to do that. Like, says who? Says you? Just you? Like, you're the only one? So the point is, if you're a manager, if you're a leader, and you have people coming to you bringing ideas, one, listen to them, and two, actually consider and give thought to the fact that maybe you're wrong, or maybe you just don't have it all figured out, and maybe you shouldn't immediately respond with just, well, nah, I'm the most experienced guy in the room, you know, I've got it figured out, and no, people don't want to do that. Just all we're saying is just consider it. Be open to new ideas and evolutions to your sales process.
I mean, if you really think about it, at some point in time, you know, probably 30 years ago, somebody thought it was a really dumb idea to call your customer over the phone.
Yeah.
50 years ago, they thought it was really dumb to make an advertisement that was on TV.
Heck, 20 years ago, some people still thought it was stupid to have a website.
10 years ago, it was really dumb to create, you know, digital advertisements that were able to be placed in YouTube or any other platform for that matter.
Yep. Retargeting was stupid at one point.
Point is, not every idea that somebody might come to you with, like if somebody just comes out of the box and says, you know, instead of posting pictures of our cars, we should have kids color them with colored pencils and make that our picture on the website. That's generally an idea that you're like, okay, no, let's here, take your coloring book back to your desk.
Let's filter that and put that. Let's put that on the fridge.
You know what? Let's put
that on the fridge.
It's like Ringo Starr's songwriting.
Yes,
the Beatles always put on the fridge. I can't stop thinking about that. All I think about is the Family Guy episode where they're like talking about Ringo Starr's songwriting. He's like, God, I wrote a song. And he's like, oh, let's put that right here, right on the fridge so we can always see it. And they're in the middle of a recording studio. Why is there a fridge in your recording studio?
But you know what? They listened to him. And they at least took the idea and they put it on the fridge. And I don't know what that is at your dealership, the proverbial fridge, or maybe it's literally the fridge. That could be insulting though.
A little bit.
But at least you listen to him, like, right? Instead of just shutting them down right away.
Yeah, I think that's I think that's honestly going to be the biggest point to take away is actually take the time to listen. You know, if no, don't just shut it down immediately. You know, if you're like, oh, our advertising budget is for the month. You know, take some time to do some research. You know, I'm sitting there throwing all these examples out. 10 years ago, it was really dumb to send a bunch of emails out to customers.
Yeah.
And now it's like if you don't do that, you feel like you're never going to be able to capture those people.
Yep.
There's all these different things that at one point in time, somebody came up with the idea, realized that they were ahead of the time, and somebody did what we're asking you to do. They kind of, not necessarily took a leap of faith, but they kind of took a leap of faith.
Yeah.
And it worked. You know, not every great idea that you try out is going to work, but if you're dealing with a business, you know, every decision you ever going to make is not always going to be a winner. There's an old saying, and it's really common in church, but I use it all the time when I'm talking to, I've mentored a few drummers and I talk to them all the time and I tell them, I said, if you do what you've always done, you'll get what you've always got. You know, if you continue doing the same process, Dave says it with our sales guys all the time. If you get to your comfort zone and you never step out of the box, I mean, you're still going to be making money. Your dealership's probably still going to make money and things like that. But don't you want to eventually take it on to the next step? I mean, I know Rick Reichert, who's the #1 CPO dealer in America, is still pushing his guys. He's pushing over 800 used cars a month, and he's pushing his guys for 900.
And he himself is trying new things all the time.
And he's got the #1 spot. He's literally he's up there. There's nobody coming up after him. There's nobody pulling on his coattails. Like, he is king of this castle. Yet he's trying to conquer more territory.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you have to break out of that box. You know, sometimes you really do, and it sucks because. Too many times we're stuck in this old mentality of, well, no, just no.
Yeah. And some of your dealerships, I mean, a lot of your dealerships, especially depending on where you're located, a lot of you guys have really, really prime locations and nice, high populated, maybe decent income, decent credit score kind of areas. And a lot of you, like literally, if you didn't, like Mike was talking about, when you're talking about drive and marketing ideas and what you can do to step your dealership up to the next level, it's so important to do those things because at the end of the day, if you have a prime location, you could literally probably not put another ad on TV, nothing in the radio, newspaper, direct mail, digital. And you would still sell probably at least enough cars to be in business. Like, I'm not saying you're going to do well, and you definitely not going to do nearly as good as you are now, but you probably still sell some cars. So the point is more is more. Like, everyone should always want more, and obviously we know that if you're watching this and if you're watching the network and you're consuming this sort of content, you do want more, so there's no doubt about that. But at the end of the day, really be self-aware. Think about how you think and how that affects your sales process, and really take time to consider that the other side is not dumb. Like, the other side being literally anyone who disagrees with you, because everyone has their own ingrained ideas and ideologies and mentalities and whatever beliefs that are the core of them. And really, if you're a business leader, you have to have those, so that's great. But you can't get in this sort of rut where you start thinking that the other side is dumb, and every time anyone who has some sort of a differing opinion from you is dumb, because actually that directly affects your sales process, because a part of your sales process, as Dave Villa and lots of sales experts talk about, is the ability to empathize with your customer, to be able to relate to them in a way that they feel you understand them, and you know how to make them feel comfortable, that sort of thing. And at the end of the day, if you always feel that the other side is dumb and you immediately react that way, then how can you say that you're empathetic? Like, at all, is what I'm trying to say. If that's the kind of person you are, if you're immediately shooting back at things that you disagree with like that, then you are in fact not empathetic, and that will affect your sales directly, like your actual sales, even if you're a salesperson to people, because that means you're not empathizing very well. You don't have the right mentality, and that's going to really affect your process.
Absolutely.
So, it's just one of those things. Take some time. I mean, self-awareness is huge. And I mean, I get that term from Gary Vaynerchuk because that's the guy I like. He's got some great content. You should check him out.
He's horrible.
He's pretty cool. But horrible. He touts self-awareness like nobody's business, because if you're a business owner or an individual working at a business, which is 100% of our viewership, I would imagine, somebody's either working at a business or managing.
There's one person out there that's like the dude from South Park, the World of Warcraft guy. There's one guy out there I feel like is watching.
You know who it is? It's the guy who won the lottery.
Yeah, that wasn't there like 3 winning tickets that were sold on that?
I think one was actually in Florida here.
I laughed. I saw a meme on Reddit. It was like 2 days ago this guy won the Powerball. Today he met the love of his life, and it's like this just ugly dude, and he's got this like supermodel standing next to him, and he's like, "This is the luckiest guy ever. He fell in love, and he won the lottery."
Look at there, man. This guy's got it all.
So my watch is going off, telling me that it's time to begin the wrap up. So I think, seriously, this time flies by. Yeah. I think the 2 big things to take away today. Number one, be self-aware. That definitely, Mikey probably said self-aware like 20 times.
Yeah.
I think I lost count.
Hopefully you will have that ingrained in your head, like I chiseled it. We both chiseled it into your brain, and that's all you can say for the next like 10 minutes is that. And it's not my idea. We like to share it.
And I think the second thing is, we talked about this in our very first episode, and it's something that I'm sure we'll talk about is the road to the sale is not a road. Stop.
Not a straight line road.
They say fear of a name. It's like people always called Voldemort he who must not be named for so many years in Harry Potter, and then people started calling him Voldemort again, but everybody was afraid to change back. The road to the sale is not just a road anymore. I mean, let's be honest. It's an interstate, and there's a bunch of exit ramps and on ramps. There's a bunch of pickups. There's a bunch of stop offs. There's everything. It's an interstate. It's a highway. It's not a road. There's multiple ways that people can buy a car, and there's multiple places that people are going to pick up the process. Mm-hmm. Don't make it so that your people are taking them back to the beginning of the highway to take the trip that they've already taken, and then they're going to be turned off by the fact that they already saw that landmark and that landmark, and they already knew that was there. Those are probably the two biggest things. I mean, any last thoughts?
I would tie in with your Harry Potter metaphor, and I would say be more like Harry Potter, because I don't know if you didn't watch Harry Potter, just forget this because it's going to be spoiler. But okay, if you did, and that should be all of you. If you remember, like the very first movie, he's a little kid, and like Hagrid comes to get him, and there's this whole thing where he's being exposed to the world of magic and everything. So he starts meeting people, and like he learns the name Voldemort, you know, he who must not be named, like the sacred cow term, whatever you're not supposed to bring up. And he says it, like once he hears the name, he just says it, like it's just whatever. He's like, oh, Voldemort? No, Voldemort. And then Hagrid and like everybody, they're like, shh, no, you can't say that. You should be like freaking Harry, because he just said it, man. He didn't care. He wasn't afraid of it. He was just like, whatever, man. It's not something we can't talk about. We're just gonna be bold about it. We're just gonna get right into it. And you should be the same with your sales process. Like, it is an interstate, and it doesn't have to be a straight line road. It doesn't have to be something that you have to start exactly the same place every single time. And you should be very bold about that, and just not be afraid to talk about it, and be very, very, I don't know, forward about how you feel, and be very passionate about it, because it's a big deal.
Absolutely. Well, folks, as you can probably see on your screen right now, our social media handle is popping up on the screen. Follow us, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, all those wonderful things. Hit us up. We definitely want to hear from you. We want to hear your Amazon horror stories. There might be something in it for somebody coming up if we get, the best Amazon horror story.
This is true.
But hit us up. Shoot us an email, jam@autotainmentnetwork.com. You can email us. It goes directly to us. We check our emails all day long. It actually drives me nuts to have notifications on my phone, so I generally read them immediately. But
I hate that too.
Oh, yeah. On that note, I'm Mike Chirp.
And this is Mikey Oquendo.
And this was Just Alone episode 4.
Till next time.
Bye. My Starbucks drink this week, because I always have one whenever we shoot.
That's true.
So like this week's drink is a Venti flat white with coconut milk, 2 vanilla bean scoops of powder, and dark chocolate curls.
That would be really funny.
It was actually quite delicious. It was almost like a hot chocolate with a touch of vanilla, but it had espresso in it, and it was coconut milk, so like the calories weren't there from the milk, so it was pretty good.
That'd be funny. You should do that every week. That's like a cool, like branded thing that you could. That's like that thing that you do.
I just did it. So say bye.
Oh.
they say it's me. Breaking it down for all to see. Keep it simple, keep it clear. The status quo is all I fear.
Brent Wees, what's up, my man?
What's up?
Nothing.
Hey, what's going on, Danny?
What's going on up there north of the border, pal?
Well, it's like minus 1,000 up here today, but unfortunately, we're not getting hit with the big snowstorm that's hitting the East Coast right now. So while it is really super cold here, and the lake in my little town is freezing over as we speak, I'm not stuck in an airport somewhere on the East Coast like some of our peers are. So
Well,
I'll take it.
You know you're north when all of the really bad weather is to the south of you.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like weird reverse global warming, except you can still get frostbite where I am.
So you're
Ice Age.
Are you in Toronto?
Yeah, I'm. Our offices are right downtown Toronto, like right near where we're like blocks away from where the Jays play baseball. But I live about 2 hours outside of town. I got out of the city into a little place on a lake, and it's quiet. I'm a quiet person. I'm very introverted.
Whatever.
Close. I need quiet.
Where do they make Crown Royal?
What?
Waterloo?
What does that have anything to do with?
That's the only thing I know about Canada.
Where's the booze from? Windsor. Windsor's like 4 hours southwest of here.
All right.
And apparently that's they make Crown Royal kind of all across the country in different places.
Okay.
We tap it out of trees like maple syrup. There's like booze trees and maple trees.
Okay,
and Crown Royal is like just like maple syrup up here.
Yeah.
Put it
Well,
on pancakes.
we're going to quit talking about that.
A boot.
I had to
Does
work that in. Oh, and by the way, in honor of you, which by the way, viewer,
Is it a stretch?
this is for you.
That's sweet, man.
Thank you. I'll be wearing this throughout the whole interview.
That's a good hat.
It is. I'm also going to have Elvis Costello on the
On the show, doing Veronica for everyone.
Hey, okay, let's just start with music. You love music, right?
I do. I absolutely love it.
Okay, what type of music, or what's on your phone right now?
I got these guys, Bane, another punk hardcore act out of that side of the country. Good riddance.
Jazz? Hardcore jazz?
No, hardcore punk.
Oh, okay.
Punk music, ska. I've got like the Specials out of England, like some live stuff from them. But then it goes to I'm listening. I've got some old Style Council, bit of Portishead on my phone right now. I got a 12-year-old kid on my phone by the name of Joey Alexander. He's a jazz pianist, and Wynton Marsalis has been kind of mentoring this kid.
Right.
This kid is scary good. Like he's like nobody I've ever heard.
So you have incredibly varied music taste.
Yeah, I like to listen to a lot of stuff, but I am like a punk rock kid and a ska kid. Like that's the scene I came out of, and
not necessarily music, but your kind of attitude about things. You're looking super handsome that close to the camera.
Okay, how's that?
That's
better?
worse. That's back up.
I'll do the whole thing like right
No,
here.
You took a good thing and went overboard.
That's usually what I do.
The reason I wanted you as one of my first guests is that exact reason, that you're eclectic, you're weird, you're crazy, you absolutely loathe the status quo, which I do too, and God knows there's enough of that in our business. I did notice some things we had in common on your LinkedIn profile, the LinkedIn skills that we have in common. I was looking at your LinkedIn page: digital marketing, marketing strategy, marketing, leadership, social media marketing, and then dancing and awesomeness.
Are those on there? That's so good.
They're not technically.
I'm a tremendous dancer.
I'm incredible. I actually do really well with like 80s type dancing. Kind of like the Carlton.
Like jumping up and down. Here's a story about the Carlton, and I'll just share this.
Good.
My wife's best friend Robin was married to Alfonso Ribeiro for several years, so I actually spent some quality time with Mr. Ribeiro and the man who is Carlton for several years until they were married for quite some time, and Yeah, so I spent Y2K at his parents' house on New Year's Eve.
And you made it through.
I did. His
We
mom's
lived.
loved person. Yeah, I did.
We lived through
We did.
Y2K. I thought it was over.
I survived Y2K while spending time with Carlton's mom and dad and Todd Bridges' mom.
Oh, see, I love people you can.
Weirdest New Year's Eve ever.
Well, no one can top that story.
Oh, I'm sure someone can.
Well, I know, but I mean that's so unique. I one time met a guy who traded a vasectomy for a racing pigeon. There you go.
See, I booked my vasectomy in the coming weeks, and I didn't even think about doing anything for trade.
No, if you had a racing pigeon, I know the guy.
I got like I don't know. I'm looking around my desk here to see what I could trade. I got like an old pencil case and like, some prescription glasses from about 4 years ago. Maybe I can barter that up.
Yeah, I don't know. You're gonna have to get a big box of stuff. Okay, let's get on to business.
But I digress.
Tell everybody kind of what you do, a little bit of your transformation into the car business, and what you do and what your company does real quick. Well, this isn't a commercial. I just want to give them some background.
Yeah, super quick. I'm a partner in a product incubator called Powered by Dashboard, and we're out of Toronto, Ontario. We started as a digital agency for a lot of years, and then 2 years ago, we started to ratchet out all of our agency clientele because we were really engaged with product incubation, creating products. Our first product was Glovebox. It's a dealer website product that's across Canada. From the OEM level right down to dealer level. We were first out of the gates with responsive design about 4 years ago, playing on that platform. We've done a bunch of things since, a retention marketing tool called Bumper, a gamification tool called RevUps, which is now sort of into its, out of its first year of infancy and again, getting a lot of adoption. So we're continually trying to create tools. The mandate of what we try to do is just to make it super easy.
In a conversation, you keep talking about kind of the DIY movement, the do-it-yourself movement. Tell everybody what you mean by that.
Well, yeah, we're just kind of doing it now, like you said, with how dealers need to keep learning and evolving. Like from what we're doing on the product incubation side, I watch. There's a documentary called American Hardcore, and it's about the punk scene in the States in the early 80s, and like what was going on in England, and like the Clash and the Sex Pistols and all these bands. Like, there was a scene, and there was like sort of a real production behind it. The record companies got behind it, and the American bands sort of went, we don't want to do it that way. We want to strip it down and get it right to its guts. And the bands were like really sort of real and no bullshit and just about what they were doing. Thing about it though too is they stayed away from the labels. So the interesting thing about that whole movement, where you had guys like Henry Rollins and Ian MacKaye and Bob Moulds, guys who have had numerous bands and written books, and they're activists and they're interviewers and speakers, and Ian MacKaye, who was the leader of Minor Threat, talks about how they had to learn and build everything because they did everything themselves. Like Ian, there's a story about how Ian wrote this record company in England to ask them to just mail him a sleeve of a 7-inch for an album thing, and they pulled it all apart and they made this rough sketch of it and sent it to a printer in Washington where they were out of, and they just learned how to cut it and build it. And he said they probably hand glued and put together their first 10,000 albums. I see that with the dealers as they start going to these conferences and they start learning about what they should be doing, and there's vendors like me talking about things and dealers talking about things and how they're doing stuff. Like like you go to Tom White Jr. about anything Tom White does about like what he's doing in Wichita and how killer that is. But that's sort of that is a DIY movement, right?
And Tom White Jr., by the way, is he's agreed to come on the show, so I'm really excited about that.
Is he just going to do like a cooking segment?
No, we're totally going to talk about cooking. Every time, I can't even go to his Facebook page without getting hungry. But we're going to talk about cooking and about how weird he is and how awesome he is, because way before I met him, I fell in love with then Suzuki of Wichita, now Subaru of Wichita, because they just said, this is what we're going to do, and we don't care, and this is our plan. We're going to do it ourselves, like you said. And, they kill it, and they do a great job, and they take incredibly good care of their people. Well, along that lines, I guess it's the not vendors, because vendors are necessary, but it's that mentality of the cookie-cutter programs, one-size-fits-all kind of a deal. I'm at a smaller dealership. And so a lot of these things that I see at conferences and this is the way you should do it. It doesn't make any sense here. And our market's different. Our people are different. How important is it for these people listening to understand that you just can't take all of these things you hear and implement all these things, that you have to make your own way and you have to test them? I mean, tell the viewers how important that is.
Like what like again, I'll go back to something Rollins said. He said, question everything and anything. Right. This is a famous quote of his. He said, question everything and anything. And to me, that is punk rock. And I think for those dealers, like you said, I think large or small, you have to look at all of this information you're getting at the conferences and go, okay, how does this truly affect me? Is it scalable to my size of store?
Right. I actually did I think it was with Mike Cirillo about examining and maximizing the ROI of a conference as a dealer. And one of the things that I talked about, and I think you'll agree, and you were hitting on it right there, is that for those dealers that are listening, whether you're a general manager, general sales manager, salesperson, and you're going to go to a conference, you need to do some pre-work before you go to the conference. You need to find out who's speaking, what topics they're speaking on, and find out what it is that you're specifically needing, and go specifically and look for those things. Because if you just go there and open up to everything, you're going to get knocked out and you're going to get off.
Oh yeah, your brain's going to get blown out.
Yeah, and so if you go in with a plan, then take that plan, then come back, execute it, prioritize it, put those things into effect that you can that work in your market. I think you'll end up getting more out of those conferences. But I just think it's important that we don't get inundated. And let me tell you, the vendors and the people at these conferences, they're there to inundate you. I mean, they're salespeople. They're making a living just like anyone else, and they need to sign people up. They need to get demos. Yeah. But is that always at the best interest of the dealer?
Well, and I think you hit it there, right? And I do it, with the launch of the magazine. Of course, I want to talk to people about it, dealer and vendor side, and get people contributing. So that was really the play this past day. Like we weren't there with a booth as we normally are. I was there to speak. And I'll engage the dealers that show up at the session, and they'll come up afterwards, and we'll shoot the breeze on that. But I know what you're saying about those vendors, like their staff teams that are on the floor, like those poor guys have pretty hard mandates from their ownership to go, this is how many things you got to sign a day, this is how many demos we got to do, and they're sweating it out too, right? So they're aggressive. The dealers are like beat up because, like you said, if they didn't come with a game plan, they start feeling like Tom Hopkins said it on Facebook this week, feel like a piece of meat, right? Yeah. Like going through there, and he's right. I think that if when I left beforehand, like I'll sit down at the office, we sat down with the staff from the magazine, and they told me, like, go out and find this sort of content, go out and talk to these kind of people about the strategy mob. Because I also respect the rules of those conferences. If I'm not there with a booth, I'm not suitcasing either. Right. I'll engage with my friends, and I'll talk about like our publication or things like that. But it's tough. So you go down there. We go down with a game plan every time, right? And like I said, if you're there with a booth, it's like, yeah, let's try to get these many people registered, and at least let's try to raise this much awareness. Because at the end of the day, we all have to make money. But I think there's a level of empathy that we actually need to understand what the dealer has to go through, be it if he's in a group or if he's a small dealer, and they need the empathy to understand what we, the vendors, either are trying to do or based on who bought us and how big that engine is, what's forced down on those, what was like once a smaller vendor that's now in a bigger suite of products based on who bought them. I think there needs to be sort of a reset to go, okay, what does everyone have to do? And then we can have a bit of empathy to go, yeah, I don't need to talk to you because here's my goals for this show. Right. And I think if you communicate those, then the vendors can sort of say, leave you alone, but also maybe they can also direct you to someone that can help you, and vice versa. Right?
Well, we're in a big box world. Dealers are just continually be bought out by other dealers, and the groups are getting bigger, and the vendors are buying everyone up, and so we're getting these giant chains, and our vendors are these giant conglomerates, and it's just becoming a really different business in front of our very eyes. And back on the point, as far as Tom Hawkins talking about feeling like a piece of meat, isn't it ironic that we talk about what it's like to be ambushed and to be pressured and to feel like we're a piece of meat when customers have been telling us that for years, you know?
Yeah.
And so we're saying, oh, we feel like we're being pressured and inundated. Hey, the light should come on. And if we don't like that feeling because we have that badge that says dealer on it, what about the one that walks onto your lot? I mean, they might as well have the badge that just says customer. And we just need to take all those things into consideration. And so I think that's irony at its best. All right, let's change gears. Let's talk about,
all right.
Quickly, let's talk about websites in particular. Right. And I was at a recent conference, I was in discussions about factory OEM or OEM mandated sites versus third-party sites. And back to this big box thing that we're talking about. The OEM mandated sites have these restrictions and limitations. Tell me your thoughts on OEM mandated sites versus third-party sites from a website standpoint.
Yeah, being a guy who's been doing sites forever, I honestly I feel bad for dealers that get stuck on it. You know, like up in Canada, the imports, they don't, like the Toyotas and the Nissans and the Hyundais have let the dealers like find their vendors of choice and put out like, here's the brand and web guidelines. You know, your regional managers will make sure you're compliant, but use who you're going to use. Or they'll give you a list of, you know, here's 8 different companies that we prefer.
Right.
You know, and you'll get your co-op or whatever. But, you know, the domestics up here push OEM, you know, mandated sites down on the dealers. And I feel bad for dudes, man, because when you look at some of the best, again, we'll go back to Tom White, or you go to a Weiler Automotive Group, like you look at what they do and how they either tell their story or emerge their content. So like Mike Cirillo has said before about content marketing, right. You need the flexibility to write things and do things on your site a certain way. You need to be able to work with your vendor. I talked last week about quiet is the new loud. And I was talking about how the mobile traffic is so high that the more we start designing for mobile first transaction with the customer, the big screen gets quieter and our designs get quieter, and every page should only be one thing. Right. Truly, like one goal that page. But you need a flexible site that you can control then to take all that excess content and move it to their own pages. Right?
Right.
You can't do that with a manufacturing site. And so I think the model is so broken there that the OEM should take a page out of like what Toyota Canada did, like literally almost 10 years ago.
Right.
What Nissan does up here. And again, it also gets skewed with, and not that they're good or bad, but there's that those parties that are in between the manufacturer and the dealers going, well, we'll push the paper around. So, right. We'll be that intermediary. And it just skews it. Dealers just need to get into their tech, have the tech easy to use, and allow them to control it. Because you know what? Like, there's this worry that they're going to go off on these tangents and, like start thinking like Danny Benitez and go crazy on their websites. They're not, man. They're going to these conferences to learn to put the right things on these websites and build them. But so my play is for the OEMs that still mandate this, I think what they need to focus on the next 5 years is have some trust in their dealer bodies and allow them to work with whatever vendor they choose. But work with brand and web guidelines. It's not hard to do.
Right. Well, I'm a General Motors dealer, and so we work with CDK Cobalt, and a lot of times on forums or things like this, you hear these people going off about Cobalt or CDK or whatever, and really they're just the middleman. Really, the OEMs, they want data. And they want to collect data from our sites. The mandated websites, they are trying to take care of their big client. Well, unfortunately, their client is not me. It's General Motors. Right. And so they're satisfying them because they're their huge client. Meanwhile, I'm looking to CDK to do things for me. They say, well, we would love to do that, and we can do that. But we can't because General Motors wants this here and this there. And so what happens is, General Motors or an OEM, I'm not picking on them. I'm proud to be a dealer. Right. But they get their data, they get what they want, they get their brand out. CDK serves them, and there's one person left out that's not really a customer. It's the dealer. It's the dealer.
And the irony of it is you poor sap's got to sell all the cars.
That's right. That's right. We get the end result now, and I'm not here to sing a sad song because we do fairly well with what we do. But the system is just broken, and I love your suggestion. I love what Toyota Canada is doing. It's almost like the co-op advertising situation here. Use some of these brand elements. We don't want to get our brand screwed up. Then we're going to let you be you in your market. I think long term, I think they would see that we would grow. But it's hard, I would imagine, for them to trust so many knuckleheads like us.
Well, but we said though, like we all, the small and the big dealers are hired. Like I said, again, it's that DIY thing. We are hiring people in to help, push the store's message or the retail message or the things we need to have in market. Like we are building staff out, and I think you'll see an evolution of the in-house staff anyways evolve to, like, there may not be 20 sales guys on the floor. There'll be 15 and 5 marketing. Like, things will evolve, but the OEMs have to let go of the reins a little bit and allow, like, to your point, like, bring in the guidelines that you need across from the brand. But it's just when the OEM's controlling it too much, it's more of a brand story, and it's not about the retail story, the tactical story that
Right.
dealership needs to.
And if I have a third-party site, what are some things that I can do on my site? What's the top 3 things that Brent Weiss says to really make sure that you're doing?
Top 3. First, like I said, I just came back speaking about it. Is quiet up the site. Like look at every page of the site and go, if I had to cut this down to one goal per page, even the front page, what is that, right? Like where do I want to point people in when they're on a page based? It could be a VDP, it could be a blog post. What is the goal of that page, right? To honestly look at each page and try to disseminate it down to one goal. Okay. That's one thing I would. Second thing is, like I said, if you're doing your own thing, it's like work with your vendor, or if you're designing it yourself, and truly think mobile first with every page, right? Like when you're thinking about it, like what is it here? Stop looking at your desktop 30-inch flat monitor and start looking at it here, because your customer is not on a 30-inch monitor when they're at the store, or when they're walking around, or when they're looking at something. Right. They're doing this first because your traffic. So So the second point is be cognizant of how much mobile traffic you actually got. Okay. Because talking to people this week in Orlando, man, like there's guys that have serious numbers, like the number, like 65%, 70% of the traffic now is coming in off mobile. So
we're 55%
like get off
in West Texas, Amarillo, Texas.
I know. I got small stores up here in Ontario too, in Canada, that have tons of mobile traffic. Like, just think mobile first, right? Okay. First thing is quiet it down. Think one goal per page. Second is like mobile first, right? Okay. Mobile first all the time. Okay. And your design is going to quiet on the big. If you're starting to look at like redesigning with your vendor, make sure they're doing their design to mobile first. And then the last thing is like, think about, like, and my thing is, and I guess it's a content marketing play, right? This goes back to like stuff that Mike Cirillo talks about all the time, and I'll throw a shout out to Mike again. But like with that goal, how much of your content is question and answer, right? Like turn that website into Q&A right across the board. Right. Like is every page answering a question? And those questions are based on those goals. Again, it's like, and how that ladders into content marketing. Like I think that's while it's been around long enough, there's such a smart play to really focus on content marketing proper. Right. So content marketing, mobile first design, single out those goals per page. And I think that those are easy things to do. They're not tough. It's not new science. It's not bullshit baffles brains, right? It's just keep it simple.
And if you are out there, if you're like me and you really don't have the ability or the budget or whatever to go third party, the OEM sites, work with your advocate and do everything that you can. You can quiet the site, even if you do have an OEM site. You can do these things that will help you, but just because you're maybe, let's say, stuck with an OEM mandated site doesn't mean that you give up. It doesn't mean that there are not things you can do. You can use these same principles within those guidelines, and some of the benefits are that, as far as for us, it's all co-opable, it's inexpensive, it's there. They have really big data to support what they're doing. So I don't want anybody to be upset or depressed, because I know I do get that way from time to time. But make the best of what you have, and be unique. True. And be different.
And we said earlier, right? And question everything. When you are working with vendors or third parties, anytime you're doing stuff, right? Don't just settle for what people are telling you. dig in, ask questions, ask why, get on Google, man. Like we've got wouldn't it be amazing if we had something in our pocket that we could talk to and it could give us like a whole bunch of answers? Like, wouldn't that be incredible? And I don't know what that is.
You're talking crazy now, man. Spaceman.
I don't know what it is.
Who
but
are
if there
you?
was something I could carry around and just ask it questions and it could tell me shit, that would be pretty amazing.
Wishful thinking, Buck
Now,
Rogers.
that's Jetsons type stuff, I know. But if we could do that, so just keep asking questions, man. Like, and don't settle for stuff that's being produced for you. And like, if a vendor's not showing you stuff and not letting you access the things you could access because of the data they're showing you, then flag it up. But just keep asking questions.
Do any of these vendors ever slant the numbers or the data they show you?
No, never.
They're all accurate.
That's my point.
Yeah.
They're all, that's what I mean. Like even for us, right? Like we've never withheld access into dealers' Google Analytics or their AdWords accounts or anything like that. And I know there's a lot of companies that do the same, right? Like allow people to look at what they need to look at. Stop dressing up bullshit reports. And I know there's probably vendors out there that are going to light me up like a Christmas tree, but I don't think, you know what I mean? Like it's a practice that's going to kill you because the dealer set are going to too many shows now. They're educating themselves too fast that if you're going to come out with canned reports and locking people out of analytics suites or AdWords accounts, you're asking for it, man, because they're going to push you to task and they're going to walk away because you're not allowing them to see what you're doing. And if they're spending money with you, you owe them that. Can I do one shameless plug for people out there?
Yes.
We launched this magazine and this website called The Strategy Mob.
Right.
www.strategymob.com.
It's sexy too, man. It's so cool. Who does all the graphic stuff? Are you in on that?
We do it. We do it all. We got a really wild team in Toronto, and we're so proud of it. And I think about 13,000 rooftops this month are going to get it. We're just trying to add rooftops all along, but the reason why I want to put it out there is because I want vendors and dealers alike to contribute to it and add to it and article to it, because it's not just like your forum where you go up anytime you want. Like we have editing teams and management teams that will actually work with you in those contents and deadlines and things. Like it's proper publication 101, right? Like, but we're just trying to make it different. We're trying to make the voice different, and we just don't want the same stuff written about. Like, and we're going to bring it off vertical, but I want dealers to become aware of it, because if your store's not on our list, we're going to get you on the list, like to get it mailed to you once a quarter. But again, I want people who want to have a voice on stuff in there. I want them talking about it, and from the millennials to the guys that have been 40, to the dinosaurs like yourself. And we can't discount that, because we think everybody that's our age, doesn't know shit about digital or anything. And I think there's a lot of guys that either can help the millennial set learn about closing or facts of the business that how I learned and cut my teeth. But, there's a lot of reverse mentoring as well that can be there. So I think the mob will the magazine and the platform will help those groups really sort of dig in and collaborate and work. So
you're standing up and you're fighting the good fight beyond the business. We all have to be humans, and we have to understand that we're a fraternity and a sorority, and we're a group of people that we're stuck with each other. So let's make the best of it, and let's try to prop each other up and educate each other and motivate each other, inspire each other. And I just love the fact that you do it. I can see right into your heart, and man, I just like your voice, man. I do.
Thanks, man. And yeah, like I said earlier, I think the movement now with like you said with all of us is, I think if we start just like really approaching each other with a lot of trust, a lot of empathy, and a lot of understanding, right? We'll all be successful at that, right? And then if we're allowing ourselves in helping each other be successful, regardless of, even if you're not using my tool and you're helping someone do that, then we're all winning, and we'll all it all gets reciprocal really quick.
That's right.
And we just need to understand all the time. It's not this dog eat dog, like I'm going to crush you and F that, man.
Yeah,
like,
but there's enough. I'm telling you, there's enough for all of us. And every time I look out the window and I see people still driving up and down the street in cars, it gives me hope. They're still driving cars. They're still trading cars. And as long as they do that, then we'll just, we'll take the gloves off and find out who ends up with the business, and really start thinking about the people. They're the ones that are going to win in the end. And it's people like you, I think, that are going to help us get there. How can people get a hold of you?
Okay, you can always get a hold of me here. I'm going to put my mobile phone number on this broadcast. 647-403-5429. That's my mobile. Text me anytime you want. I give it away everywhere I go because I'm not smart. But that's at Brent Weiss, BrentWees is Twitter. Find me there.
Absolutely one of my faves in the business, and keep fighting the fight, brother.
Yeah, you too, Danny. Thanks so much for having me on. It's killer that you're doing a show because you're as engaging as shit, brother. And I think it was about time you got something online. But again, I appreciate you as well, and what you do, and stuff like this for just people this is a good resource for content for dealers and what they're doing, and they need stuff like this from their peer group. So good on you for taking it up another notch.
Well, thanks, man, and we'll talk to you soon.
You got it, brother.
All right, see you, buddy.
He built himself a business. He built himself a business, a brand, made himself into. Sorry. Made himself into. I'm the host. Yeah. Well, hey everybody, welcome to. What did you do?
She just like waved. I didn't know it started yet.
Well, hey everybody. Thanks, man.
It's like we know what we're doing.
Well, hey everybody, my name's Jason Stum, your host here on Think Bigger, and I'm really excited. We're back for episode 3. I'm going to be joined by Honda Pro Jason, and if you don't know Honda Pro, you're going to want to know him real quick because he's got a lot to teach us. And he made himself into a business, a brand, and quite frankly, an internet sensation just by using his personality, a YouTube channel, and a healthy dose of big thinking. He's got over 9 million views on his YouTube channel. He's got 35,000 subscribers, 37,000 Facebook fans. The guy has built himself a platform. And what's really cool about this is Jason is used to being in front of the camera, hosting the show, leading the show, but today he's gonna be the guest. So we're gonna flip things around on him a little bit. And I'm really excited. I can't wait to get going. So let's do this. Let's head on over to the booth and start thinking bigger right now. Let me just say, I'm really, Jason, honored to have you on the show.
Thanks, dude.
I've been stalking you for a while now.
I've been noticing.
It's been a while now. I'm like, we gotta talk to Honda Pro. This guy has a think bigger mindset. And kind of the first question I've been asking everybody is just when you hear the words think bigger,
Yeah.
what does it mean to you?
Just think larger than yourself. You know, think outside what you normally do. Think outside your regular job, outside your regular friends and family, and what the potential could be if you really just got out of your zone. That's what I think of when I think of think bigger.
I think that's a fair way to say it. Everyone has a different interpretation of it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's great about, these conversations that I get to have with the guests that come on, is it means a little something different to everybody. And then as a viewer, we can kind of build what we think bigger means, what we think bigger means. So that makes sense. So I just really want to take it back a little bit. I like to kind of get everyone's history before we talk about what they're doing right now and then what we can pass on to our audience.
Sure.
So you've been around the car biz for quite a while. Where were you? How long ago was it?
I started in car sales back in 1996, February of 96. So it's been a while. And I was a bartender and server before that. And just was always looking, went through a couple years of community college, but wasn't really sure what my my job should be, what my real calling was. And I was bartending at the time, and I had bought a 94 Honda Accord and went back to the dealership all the time to talk to them about the car because I was like so impressed with the way the car was built. And it was just like, it was just awesome. And I was there so often asking them so many questions, bothering them. As soon as I went into the service, you could see all the guys run. Like, oh, here comes this kid that's going to ask, because I was 26 at the time. He's going to ask all these crazy questions about the car, and we don't know the answers. And they didn't know the answers. I'd ask them just like how to change things, how things come apart, how things go back together. And they're like, it's a brand new car. We have no idea how that works. So they're like, you know what? Why don't you just get a job here? You love the car so much. I'm like, sure, but I don't have any training in sales. Like, you don't need training, we'll train you. Like, okay, cool. So I started selling cars and started telling everyone else how impressed I was with the vehicle, and that helped sell many more cars because they knew that I was genuine.
Did you ever see yourself becoming a car salesman prior to that?
No.
No. I think a lot of us who got into the car biz have a similar story. Never in a million years would we thought we ended up there, but through circumstance, we end up there.
Over my 19 years, I met many people from many professions, from people that were, aeronautical engineers to janitors, and they all somehow end up selling cars. It's the strangest.
It's weird.
It's weird, right?
It's weird. Because it's a land of opportunity. It really is.
That's true.
It really is. So, 96, you're there, you're working at Schaumburg Honda as a sales professional. Now, this is obviously 96, the internet was just coming online. So there probably wasn't anything you were doing there. But so there's obviously this transition that goes from starting in the sales department and then working your way towards, utilizing video and becoming Honda Pro.
Yes.
Let's get into the origin story, if you will. I'm a big superhero guy. Let's talk about the
course.
origin story
Of Honda Pro.
Of Honda Pro Jason.
So the origin story of Honda Pro Jason, back when Bluetooth started, Bluetooth hands-free in cars and stuff, when that started, that whole thing started, the technicians that were really good at fixing mechanical parts of the car, but not the best at the electronics and setting them up, would always call me back to help with Bluetooth issues. I was a salesman, but I knew a lot about the cars. I was in them all the time, and I was always trying to figure out different ways they operated and worked, and I would set up different scenarios in my head to see if I could get the car to fail. Just because I thought that was fun, then I knew when it failed, how to correct it for a customer. So a customer would call up, be like, hey, my Bluetooth doesn't work. Okay, follow these steps and tell me what happens. And I just kind of diagnose it myself. So back in the service department, they called me up and they'd be like, hey, could you fix this for us? Sure. One day they had a problem with Bluetooth, and somebody just happened to mention, hey, why don't you go grab that Honda Pro guy? He's a pro at Honda, he knows everything about these cars. Call him over. And I'm like, wow, Honda Pro. So that kind of stuck in the dealership as Honda Pro, and then I just added Jason.
Because that's your name.
Because that's my name.
So that works.
It works.
That'd be weird if your
very
name
well.
was Jeff, but you know what? Honda Pro Jeff doesn't have the
let's
same
just
ring
go
as
with-
Honda Pro
no.
Jason.
So I just added Jason, and Honda Pro Jason was born,
So at that time, so it's just kind of like the internal nickname, right? We all
It
kind of
was,
have our
yes.
nicknames. It's
Yes. Luckily, that was a nice one.
My nickname was No Gross Jason, not as complimentary as Honda Pro Jason.
Was that like where someone gives you the opposite of what you really are?
No gross, meaning all the cars I sold, we didn't make a whole lot of money.
that kind
didn't
of
make a whole lot of
gross.
money
Not
on.
that you
That's
picked your
actually
nose and
that's how I
everything.
got into the marketing side. It was like, this is a stum kid. He's not making any money selling cars. Let's find him something
You're
else
probably
to do.
too nice.
I probably was.
That was the problem.
I get told that a lot. I'm too nice. So, all right. So it's just kind of this internal nickname, Honda Pro Jason.
Yeah.
At what point in time did you start to realize that maybe there is something here? Maybe this is a brand that I can build. I can become that something bigger than yourself.
I don't know when that actual turning point was. Like, I never really thought about it. I was the guy that everyone would send their customers to. Their customers had a problem with Bluetooth, had a problem with their CD player, had a problem with anything electronic on the car, they'd send them to me. They'd be like, hey, can you set up their door locks? Can you do me a favor, Jason? Can you set them up? I was that go-to person. And when other dealerships started calling me at that dealership asking questions, that got weird. They'd call from other dealerships and be like, hey, Jason, we heard that you know a lot about this new door lock system.
So you establish yourself at your dealership as the Honda Pro, the guy who just knows
did.
everything about
Yes,
Honda,
I
so
did.
much so that other dealers, competing dealers, are like, we got to get somebody who knows how to do this stuff. Let's give this Jason cat a call. So.
Yeah.
So you establish that, and so obviously the internet begins to mature.
Yeah.
Video becomes a regular part of our lives, and you've obviously seen some kind of need to start producing videos that help do some of the stuff. Take us through that process of how you got there.
There was a turning point. there was a turning point where I said, listen, I need to do videos because I need to expand the people that I'm reaching. Right now I'm reaching people in my dealership, and then obviously some people outside my dealership by phone, but there has to be a way that I can reach them in a larger scale. So one day some guy comes in and he's like, hey, listen, I want to trade my car. And one of the questions you probably know being a salesperson, you ask is, well, what do you want your new car to do for you that your old car didn't? Mm-hmm. And then they will tell you, then you can land them on the right car. This guy said, you know, I have this Accord, it's 2008 Accord, and I really wish the back seats went down. I have longer items, exactly, you know where I'm going with this. Longer items that won't fit in there. And sometimes he said, I gotta borrow a truck or someone else's car because I have these big items and these back seats go down. They won't go down. And I'm like, come here for a second, let me show you something. He goes, what? I go, your back seats do go down. He goes, no, they don't. I go, no, they do. He goes, I'll bet you. You don't have to bet me, let me show you. So I pull the two tabs, I push the two seats down. He goes, son of a gun, I never knew that. So I started thinking about all the other stuff he doesn't know about his car and how he could have walked into a competitor's product and said, I want my back seats to go down, and Nissan, Ford, Toyota, Mazda, Infiniti would be like, oh yeah, no problem, here you go. And he would have bought them and never would have bought another Honda. And I want people to keep buying Hondas because I love the brand. And as far as I'm concerned, if I saw nothing but Hondas on the road, I'd be happy. So I showed him something he didn't know about the car, and his salesman might or might not have shown him. Mm-hmm. So I started thinking about maybe I can do a video and show people on the new Accord all the cool stuff it has. And so I did. And I called it Tips and Tricks on the new Accord. And I had salesmen from all over the country contact me saying, you know, I never knew the car did this. And then people that bought the car said, I never knew the car did that. Now I can enjoy my car so much more than I did before. I'm like, wow, this is cool. So I started a YouTube channel, and I put this video on that channel, and it's blossomed very quickly.
I mean, what was your personal motivation? Were you thinking, hey, here's a way I'm going to sell me more cars for making these videos, or was it simply just, hey, I want to educate people, I'm an advocate of the Honda brand, and I want to share my love of it with everybody else?
What you said exactly true. I had no desire. If it helped me sell cars, that was great, but I was selling cars to the dealership. I really took this on as a side project to help educate people on what was going on. And I never thought that it would turn into what it is now, because it's present day, it's a full-time career. And it was something fun I did on the side. I thought it would be cool to do. If I don't get at least 250 to 300 people watching each video, it's not worth doing the videos. And current day, I have an average of about 35,000 people watching each video.
Wow.
So it's definitely grown, and I can't imagine if 250 people watch my videos still doing them. But back then, that was my goal.
Right.
So
well, because it was better than 12 people watching your video.
It was better than 12, and at the time, I had walked through all of the departments in my store. I said, hey, listen, have you watched my new video? Can you please watch my new video? Every person individually, can you please watch my new video? Because I knew that, more people watching means more people watching. And so eventually that grew, and again, it just seemed silly to walk up to everyone in my current position and go, hey, would you mind watching my video real quick?
Although you did ask me to watch the video. But anyway, that's right there.
That's true.
But I just want to pause right there because you brought up just in your story two things that are recurring themes. As I talk to more people with this think bigger mindset, things that come up. One of them is obstacles.
Right.
And you see this in car dealerships all the time. I've experienced a very similar situation where you're doing something that's outside of the box.
Right.
You're making these videos and you're kind of getting these sideways glances or just avert, hey dude, you're wasting your time kind of messages, and that's an obstacle. Big thinkers tend to share what they're trying to accomplish with everybody. Okay. Right? They want people to know that, hey, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm trying to achieve. So by you going around to every person in your dealership, to all the departments, saying, hey, have you seen my video? Could you watch it for me? You're letting people know. So it's once again, you probably didn't realize it or not, but just as I talk to more and more people on the show, they all exhibit these same kind of big thinking behaviors. So
makes sense.
You're definitely doing it, man. You're definitely rocking it up.
Thanks, man. So I started a show, and I cleverly named it the Honda Pro Show, because, well, it's my show. And I thought of an idea. I thought, you know what, I'll do 3 segments, a fun fact, and a giveaway. Because on YouTube, there's a couple of guys I used to watch that used to do these giveaways. I'm like, you know what? I can do giveaways. I can give away like Honda apparel, like hoodies or hats or bags or cups or mugs, Type R mugs, whatever I could get my hands on. And I could give that away at the end of the show, but I would ask them some very simple question. Things like, are you right-handed or left-handed? Like that would be a question legit that I ask people, because I want everyone to answer.
Sure.
I thought more comments on my YouTube channel brought in more views. That was my
Interesting.
thinking.
That's good thinking.
Right? A little bit more interaction with my fans. And so I started the channel and the Honda Pro Show, which was actually first shot on an iPhone 3GS.
I had one of those.
Those are nice, right?
Yeah.
And I sat in the front seat as my camera person held the camera as level as he could.
Shaky cam.
Right
Yeah.
next to me. And the lighting was not ideal, obviously. And I was just sit there and we just do a show. And it was pretty much done almost with one take, like no break, no breaks, no nothing. And I made some little music for it, and I had a show. So now we have a full studio with real equipment and lighting and green screen, and it's gone way beyond.
At what point in time did you really start to realize, hey, I'm on to something here. This is something.
Okay, the first time I knew I was on to something is I was back in the parts department talking to the guys about buying some new hoodies for my show. And I'd buy 4 or 5 hoodies for my show, and I'd give them away. And I'm sitting there, and they'd call my name over the intercom that I have a phone call. And in sales at this time, a couple years back, you normally didn't get phone calls at the dealership. Everything went through your cell phone. So I'm like, that's strange. Let me just pick this up here. I pick up the phone, and that guy goes, hey, this is so-and-so from American Honda in Torrance, California. Is this Honda Pro Jason? I'm like, yeah, this is Honda Pro. And now the conversation could go 2 ways. It could either go, wow, we really like what you do, or
cease and desist.
Cease and desist. This is your warning. I'm like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I'm like starting to like beat up with sweat. I'm like, yes, this is. He goes, I just want to let you know that we're big fans of what you do. I'm like,
wow.
This is starting out good. He goes, but it's not just us. He goes, everyone out here in California watches your show, and we really like what you're doing. Like, oh, that's awesome. Would it be okay if we sent you a box full of swag? I go, yeah, that would be okay. What's your address? Give him my address. And lo and behold, about a week and a half, 2 weeks later, I get this big box with this beautiful winter jacket that I still wear to this day, a couple of hats, a bunch of lanyards, a bunch of keychains, a whole bunch of Honda stuff that I was able to give out on my show. And that was the first time that Honda actually reached out to me. And I knew from that point forward that I have something. Like, if I caught the attention of Honda and they like what I'm doing, I'm going to keep doing it. And that I told pretty much everyone I knew that Honda had contacted me.
Well, yeah, I would too. I would have made a video just about that.
And then they started following me on all my social media pages.
Oh, with the official Honda channel.
The official Honda channel.
Interesting.
Twitter and YouTube, they followed me. And on my Facebook pages, they followed me. My Google Plus pages. And that was kind of cool. So they were definitely watching me.
So your relationship with Honda today, is it still, obviously then they called to let you know that they were impressed with what you're doing. They sent you a big box of swag for you to give away on your show. Today, what's the relationship like with Honda? Is it any more formal? No, it's more friendly. If anything, it's much more friendly, and we work a lot closer together than we did back then. I thought we worked pretty good together. At least I thought we were working together, but they were just kind of on the sidelines watching me. And I was like, oh, yeah, Honda's watching all my stuff. So I'm thinking, I'm working kind of with them a little bit. And as time goes on, this channel's getting bigger and bigger, and now I'm getting into the 1 million people viewing my shows. So about a year ago, a company contacts me and like, hey, listen, we want you to work for us. I'm like, oh, that's awesome, thanks, but I have a job. That was really kind of like, well, hear us out. So I had a meeting, and they do a lot of work with Honda and advertising with Honda. And they have other companies within their company that also works with Honda. And it really looked like a way for me to branch out and help way more people than I was helping before. Right. So I made the step. I'm like, listen, I want to continue to do what I'm doing. I just want to do it on a bigger scale. So we agreed, and I had left car sales. As soon as I left car sales, the next car show was the Chicago Auto Show. And at the Chicago Auto Show, it was amazing. I met a lot of the corporate people from Honda, because I got to meet the president and CEO of Honda of America, okay, Mr. Yamada. And it was a real brief meeting, but I knew who he was before because he was the president of Honda. Mm-hmm. Like, I know who he is, of course. We met very briefly, we were introduced. He was very interested in what I was doing, so much so that the next day when I saw him in another meeting, Mr. Yamada, it's good to see you. I met you yesterday. He goes, I know who you are. You're Honda Pro Jason. I'm like, yeah, that was nice. He remembered my name. He goes, actually, I watched all your shows last night. Not all of them, but I watched many of them. And then he started reciting my lines back to me. He goes, awesome. He goes, smells like Honda. I go, what? He goes, you're in the know. And so here's this Japanese man
repeating all of my lines back to me with a Japanese accent. I'm dying. And first, I'm super impressed. Like, I don't even know what to say. He took the time to watch my shows, which just humbled me beyond belief.
Absolutely.
And so we spoke for a little while, and then at the Chicago Auto Show, already I'm out of the car sales, and I start to meet some of the PR people from Honda. And they come up to me and they're like, hey, listen, Mr. Yamada told us to meet you because he thought you were very interesting. And he said that if you needed anything at all, that we should help you. That's a pretty big call. I'm like, well, you guys have like these events where you send, you know, journalists out for these media events for these new cars. Do you have any coming up? They're like, yeah, we have the HRV coming up. I'm like, well, I'd love to go. I'm like, well, you know, it's coming up in a couple weeks. Like, we can't just put you in, we're full. And I stood up real bright and tall and said, well, Mr. Yamada said anything I want. And there's like 3 of them standing there, and they all look at me and they're like, let's see what we can do. So they called, and lo and behold, there was 1 cancellation, and they slipped me right in.
Nice.
And during that, which was out in California, during the HRV, one of them pulled me aside and they said, you know what, Jason? We're really happy you're not in car sales anymore. I'm like, why? What was there in there that I didn't know about? Like, what was going on? They go, no, you misunderstand us. We couldn't really support you when you were in car sales because there was a conflict of interest with all the other dealerships. If we supported you, we'd have to support everyone at every dealership, and that wouldn't be fair. Like, that was the only way to do it. So now that you're not in car sales, we can help you, you can help us, let's build this huge. And that was really the beginning of me working not for Honda, but with Honda. And Honda, luckily, it started sending me out to journalist events all over the United States. And then I started going out of the country. So we flew out. I took my girlfriend at the time, my wife now. We flew out to the Netherlands. We went all through Germany. We did an event out, a Type R event out in Germany. A Type R event out in Germany, which was amazing for the new Type R. Then we went out to the Netherlands and did Honda Fest. And that's really where I realized that I was known globally. Like, you don't really, you're like, oh yeah, people like, they tweet you and they send you messages. Sure. I'm from Germany, I watch all your stuff, it's cool. I'm like, oh, that's great, someone from Germany watches my stuff. But then you go to that country, and I was standing there, and I'll never forget it. There was a time I'm standing and talking to this one guy about a car, and my girlfriend comes up to me and she goes, hey Jason, you might want to hurry up. I'm like, why, what's up? She goes, look, and I look down and there is a line of no less than 35 people standing there waiting to talk to me with books and pens waiting for me to sign things they drew for me, things they built for me, little toy cars. This guy took a Matchbox car, took it apart, spray painted it orange to match my own personal car, and then put little details like my car, then glued it all back together, put it in a glass case and handed it to me.
Holy cow.
Yeah. I was like, this is crazy.
That's either the awesomest thing that ever happened or the creepiest thing that ever happened.
No, it was awesome. No, up until that point, it blew my mind. I needed a small suitcase, no joke, to take home with all the extra stuff people gave me. In the Netherlands, who would have thunk?
In the Netherlands.
Yeah.
So this is, let's transition to this here because I know everyone, and you and I could just talk to you for hours on end. But we kind of.
We have a time limit?
No, yes, we do. We do. So we can't. So we really need to transition this so we can turn it around for our viewers to give them some actionable information. And like I said, we've been talking video in the dealership, how to use it for at least 8 years now. At the most recent digital dealer conference, there was no less than 6 breakout sessions on using video in the dealership.
Makes sense.
So it is still a hot topic.
Yeah.
So let's give our viewers some stuff that they can use to go down this road if they want to go down this road, whether it's for themselves, for a personal brand, or just to help build the halo of their own dealership or automotive group. I mean, just general advice.
Two different
Think
thoughts.
bigger advice.
That's exactly what I'm about to talk about, is the think bigger advice.
Yeah.
2 different schools of thought. One school of thought says you should go on camera and say, hey, I'm Jason Richmond, I sell Hondas. Come buy a Honda from me, here's the number, I'm gonna give you a great deal on this car right here. That's one school. I really like the educational part. And I think the people that try to educate other people and explain to them about the car, ways the cars can improve or enhance their lives. And then if you'd like more information, you can contact me. Not so much as, give me a call, I'm gonna give you a great deal on this car right here. People, I don't think, want to hear that. They hear that every time they go into a dealership. So sure, are you gonna be making this big long video with a little bit about yourself at the end? Yes, you are. but you're going to educate people. It's going to be more fulfilling, and I think more people are going to react to it and engage with you than if you just said, here's the phone number, call this number for a good deal.
Sure.
So that's what I really think, that you don't need special equipment. I started with an iPhone. You can start with an iPhone. You don't really need anyone to film you if you don't want. You can just film the car and just explain how the car can better enhance someone's life.
Right.
And put it on whatever channels you have, or just put it in an email and send it out to people. I think they'll appreciate it, not just when they're looking to buy the car, but what I found out is after they had bought the car. You know, you buy a car in the summer, you might not need to know anything about traction control if you live in a wintry state. So when the winter comes in, send them a video about traction control. Explain to them what they could see happen, or in the four-wheel drive system, how the four-wheel drive system works to help them. They'll not only like it, but they'll probably share that video with other people that are looking for cars. And then you'll just slowly start to expand, you know?
Right. No, it makes perfect sense.
That's-
And I think that's kind of a common point when it comes to doing any kind of content creation. If you're doing it for kind of like a selfish reason.
Right.
Hey, I hear that if I make videos, I'm going to sell 10 more cars.
Exactly.
And you're not passionate about your product. Clearly, you're passionate about Honda. Just like
Why would you say anything about my passion towards the brand of Honda?
It's just something about you.
Really? Anything in particular? You want me to bring my Honda hat and Honda jacket
It's just
out?
something you just like exude. Like I like Hondas, kind of.
I do a little bit, yeah.
But if
I
you're
say
not
it's in my
passionate-
blood.
Do you bleed blue? Do you bleed blue blood? Are you
A blue blood bleeder?
a blue blood bleeder?
I am,
He's a blue
actually.
blood bleeder.
Yeah.
Oh, I was told I wasn't allowed to sing on Think Bigger anymore.
Can't imagine why.
I don't know. I'm such a great singer.
Episode 2? I'm sorry. I do watch your episodes, by the way, and
Thanks. I watch yours.
I was very excited to find out that I'd be a guest on the show.
Nice.
Really, I think the show's cool. I think the idea is great. I think it'll help people. It'll, like I want to do, I want to educate and entertain.
Correct.
And I think this show educates and entertains people. So
Yes. Cool.
I hope it grows into something bigger than you think it's going to do.
Well, I think
bigger,
we
bigger?
followed the same approach because
so.
we're doing that for the very same reasons.
Yeah.
Think Bigger exists not because I'm like, hey, I want to be on camera and have a
Right.
show. No, it's to educate people, to help people become the best versions of themselves possible, and hopefully they'll tell their friends about it. More people tune in, and it will grow and turn into something.
Yeah.
When the president of the United States calls and says, Jason, I've been watching your show.
Right.
And you've really inspired me to think beyond today and tomorrow.
See?
And to help me achieve my biggest ambition.
Yeah.
It's hard to say that
Yeah.
with a straight face. So, okay, so back to
Yes.
what we're talking about here. So for tips.
Yes.
So you got to have passion. You can't just do it for selfish reasons.
You have to have passion. Yeah, whatever you're trying to sell or talk to somebody about, I definitely say you have to have the passion, not just for selfish reasons.
Right. And then you want to engage, educate, and entertain if at all possible.
Yeah, if you can.
If you can.
I understand not everyone's an entertainer, but I think everyone can educate if they're a professional in their field, which they should be if they're doing this. And if you're not, you should find a field that you're a professional at. You should find that area that you're a professional at and push as hard as you can in that field,
Absolutely.
which makes sense.
So here's an interesting fun fact that I discovered about you that you may not know about yourself.
Oh, wow, I like fun facts.
Especially ones about yourself that you may not know. Of course,
Sure.
knowing you probably do, but I'll say this. So we talked about how you grew this YouTube channel, and
Yeah.
now it's got over 9 million views, and you have this relationship. Well, as I was doing a little pre-show research, I was watching some of your videos, and you were just at the Detroit Auto Show.
I was.
In my backyard, and I'm disappointed you didn't call me to come hang out because I live in the Detroit area. But anyway, whatever. So you're there, and you're covering the new 2017 Honda Ridgeline.
Amazing truck.
Amazing truck, great video. And so I was watching that, and then I saw up on YouTube what was next up was Honda's 2017 Ridgeline video.
Okay.
And the video that you made almost had as many views as the one that Honda made. So to me, that was really
cool.
impressive because
No, it is impressive.
I think in dealerships, as people, sometimes we think we can't compete with the big publishers. We can't compete with OEM content. But that proves a point that you can.
I don't look at it as a competition. Because if I get 40,000 views and they get 40,000 views, that's 80,000 views total that people get to look at the new Ridgeline, hopefully like the new Ridgeline, then go out to their dealerships and drive one and eventually buy one and enjoy it and make their lives better and more fulfilled. That's kind of how I look at it.
Right.
People come up to me often and they're like, hey, listen, you know this one guy started a YouTube channel or a Facebook page, he's using Honda Pro with his name on it? He's your competition. No, he's not. A lot of times I'll contact him and, hey, listen, I saw you did Honda Pro Joe. If you need any help, let me know. If you have any questions, if there's anything that you come up with and you're not sure how to react to it or whatever, let me help you. Because there can be plenty of people that do what I do.
Sure.
And we all win. You know, that's the way I look at it. The more the merrier.
Yeah. And when I say competition, I mean from a search perspective. So somebody types in 2017 Ridgeline. How is my video ever going to show up when you got the manufacturer, when you got Motor Trend, when you got all those things?
I do want them to watch my video over someone else's video, of course, because I put a lot of time and effort into that.
Well, sure.
video.
You want people to see it,
But
so you
after
can
my
as
video,
an
they can watch other people's videos.
Right. So as an individual, you can compete content-wise with the big publishers of the world,
Yeah.
with the OEMs of the world.
That's pretty cool. I didn't know I had as many views as Honda on something
Almost
like that.
as many. So Honda Pro Jason, thank you so much, my man, for coming on the show.
My pleasure, brother.
Truly appreciate you spending some time with the Think Bigger audience here today. If anybody has some questions, wants to pick your brain a little bit, what's the best way for somebody to get in touch with you?
Easiest way would be email, jason@hondaprojason.com.
And you're on the Twitter. What's your Twitter handle?
Honda Pro Jason.
Oh, simple enough.
Ask me what my Instagram is.
What's your Instagram?
Honda Pro Jason. What about Facebook?
What's your Facebook?
Honda Pro Jason.
What's your MySpace?
I'm not on MySpace. Ever.
Ever. The easiest way to find it, just look up for Honda Pro.
Just look up Honda Pro Jason.
Maybe subscribe to his YouTube channel.
If you'd like.
Or maybe watch a few of his videos.
If you'd like to stay in the know.
Even if you don't work at a Honda dealership.
No big deal. I'm here to help.
Go right on, brother. Really appreciate it, my man.
Cool, dude.
Talk to you soon.
Yep.
Well, there you go, guys. Another episode of Think Bigger is in the books. I hope you learned a thing or two. I know I didn't. So take care, guys. See you next Tuesday, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time, only on the Autotainment Network, where we think bigger.
Welcome to episode number 21. On today's show, we talk about the classics, why and how to answer a question with a question, and why age doesn't matter so long as you stay hungry.
When you were little, what did you want to be when you grew up?
A car salesman.
Said no one ever.
Hi, I'm Patrick Hennessy.
And I'm Courtney Hennessy.
Welcome to the Be Less Typical in Car Sales podcast, a real-life account of the car business that breaks the perception of what it's like to be a car sales professional. During the show, we're going to take you into the lives and minds of those who have found success. So ignite your passion and get ready to learn effective hacks to streamline your success and boost your income.
So, is that your pitch?
Yeah.
It's pretty good. It wasn't too long ago that I opened my email inbox to find an email with the subject line, I am less typical. Within was a thank you note and link to jamesjohnsonsellscars.com.
If you listen to our show regularly, all the way to the end, just before the blooper, you know that we ask our listeners who are less typical or know someone who's less typical to reach out.
And you know what? I love when people do. Getting these emails never gets old. So thank you, James Johnson.
James has been in the car business since the 1980s. He climbed the ranks, served in many different positions within the business, including salesman, F&I manager, desk manager, sales manager, training manager, and general sales manager. He's sold Honda, Audi, BMW, Ford, Chrysler, GM, Volvo, Mercedes-Benz, and Toyota. He's done it all. And like most of us, he's left the business and come back. Most recently,
some friends convinced me to come back into the car business, and I went back to the Toyota store again. And that was February 2013. And that's when I realized everything had changed. And I had to make a decision whether to stay or not. And I decided to stay.
We're happy you did. Decided to stay, that is. But let's go back to the beginning.
When James was a little boy, he remembers a fleeting thought that he wanted to be a lawyer.
And remembers once saying, I'd like to be an attorney. And my mom said, you don't want to be an attorney. They have to lie. They're liars. So that was kind of the end of that.
And after that?
I didn't give it much thought.
He didn't give his future much thought. He did, however, find his way into the Army for 11 years. He climbed the ranks and says he quit when?
Until it stopped being fun.
As we talked with James, it's apparent that he is a doer. He wants to be on the operational side of things, being challenged and given opportunity to grow. So it's no surprise that when he gets to the point in his military career where he's on the staff side of things and there's not much room for growth, that he's ready for a change.
After he retires from the Army, he gets a job in real estate for about a year. A job he got into because
I had picked sales because somebody had told me, you should be in sales. And my mom had a real estate office for about 48 years out in California.
He puts the two together, real estate and sales, and starts a career in real estate. However, he finds that he doesn't like it at all. So what's next?
Well, he has a client who recommends the car business.
And one of my real estate clients who had rentals was in the car business. He kept telling me, you'd love it. Your personality's good for it. Things happen fast. And he eventually talked me into coming into the store where he worked, which was a Honda, Porsche, Audi store.
So he goes to the dealership where his client worked. He fills out some paperwork, and before he knows it, he's hired. As he recalls, they gave him a little booth to sit in. And when he looked around...
And that was pretty much it. It was an old-timer store. I was 28, and these guys looked like they were 88.
This actually works in his favor because the guys on the floor weren't taking fresh ups or hunting for business. They were working their already established client base, tilling the soil, if you will.
This is a good situation to be in when you're trying to grow your customer base. However, James doesn't know how to sell cars. He relies on a little bit of training he had from real estate, but it doesn't really cut it in the car business. And it isn't too long before the manager tells him he needs to go to Mobile, Alabama to meet Jackie B. Cooper. James's response?
And I said, well, who's that? And he said, this is the guy that can teach you how to sell cars.
If Jackie can teach him how to sell cars, James figures he better meet him. So he goes to Mobile. Now, this is the first time James has ever been exposed to a professional speaker or trainer. He remembers.
And I was just soaking it in. It was just unbelievable. There were things you could say that would make certain things happen. And I was filling out that workbook like crazy. I still have it in my desk today.
The workbook is from 1987. It's almost as old as I am. But classics never really go out of style. Think about it. We still summon fashion inspiration from Jackie O. The quote, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country, given by JFK in his inaugural speech, is a common strategy most businesses and salespeople are implementing in today's marketplace. And we're still referencing and implementing many of the strategies laid out in the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. All classics born in the 1960s, all very relevant in today's world. Most sales training is no different.
And just like anything else, for training to work, you need to study it.
Repetition is important. You're gonna lose so much of this, and you need to get those tapes in the back of the room. So I ran back there and grabbed them, and I was listening to them driving back. I listened to them day and night. And my third month in the business, a month later, which was my third month, I was actually the salesman of the month.
I have a colleague I work with that recently made the decision that he was going to get serious about selling cars. Not only did he make the decision, but he did the more difficult part and started taking action. He put some skin in the game and bought training materials, audio that he listens to every day in the car. He bought a training book and a PDF workbook to go along with it. He tells me what he has heard every day and practices the script on me to get more comfortable with it. It's inspiring to experience, and he's already reaping the benefits.
Maybe we'll get him on the show sometime. Artie, if you're listening, just say when. Being a student brings you the knowledge and the confidence you need to succeed. James reflects.
And I learned that I could learn. I guess that was the most important thing that came out of that.
James has learned a lot over the years, so we asked him what his number one piece of advice would be for someone in car sales or any type of sales for that matter.
He says you have to learn to communicate, and he reminds us that
Real important to understand that whoever's asking questions is in control of the situation.
he goes on to say,
And 99% of the time, answering questions doesn't get you any closer to a sale.
He gives us an example. Let's say a customer asks if you have the vehicle they're looking at in the color black. Most of the time, a salesperson will say, yeah, I can get you a vehicle in black. However, James would say,
My response is going to be, oh, you're looking for a dark color? And I'm shaking my head up and down. So you want a dark color, right? They start shaking their head and agree with me. Makes it a lot easier for me to deliver a dark blue or a dark gray car as opposed to a black.
one of the first and worst things to get pinned on is color, right? I mean, for whatever reason, we all know the color that they want is the one you don't have. The weird combination, you know?
This goes for other things too, not just the color. That's why understanding how to effectively communicate and uncover what the customer's needs and wants are is a very important part of the sales process.
Listening to what's really being said and whenever possible, answering a question with a question.
This is an interesting concept, and as I'm listening to this, it's dawning on me that Patrick does this all the time to me. For example, I asked him a question about when he was going to have an episode of Be Less Typical ready for me to add music to. We call this mixing the episode. The conversation went something like this. Hey Patrick, when do you think you might have the episode ready for me to mix? His reply, when do you need it by? And this is just one of the many examples I've noticed recently. Little did I know that this was a strategy he was using to lead me towards what he was looking for, the answer to when I needed the episode ready.
Caught. Anyway, James gives us another example of this. If a customer asks for alloy wheels, he might say,
I might answer a question like that. Were you looking for a car with alloy wheels? I want to know. And that it probably is going to be yes because they did ask it. But I'm also at the same time getting them to answer questions that I know will be a yes. They form a habit subconsciously of answering yes to me if I ask the right questions throughout the entire sales presentation.
So you need to ask the right questions and questions that render yes answers from your customer.
You can also then use all of the information the customer has provided you with during your yes conversation when you're closing. As James says, he sells on his feet and closes in his seat.
I'm keeping track of what they've agreed to, answering questions with questions whenever possible, asking questions that I can control the answer to or I expect an affirmative answer to, is setting them up for when they sit down with me, I have all the ammunition to help them make the right decision.
I completely agree.
James goes so far as to say that being able to communicate effectively is the most important skill you can have.
He shares with us an example from when he had first moved to Las Vegas. He'd just started at a Toyota dealership.
I had presented a Camry, a 1997 Camry, in such a way that the lady told me, wow, you are really an expert on these cars. But I didn't know anything about the car. But the way I was able to answer her questions and communicate, she perceived me as an expert.
Perception is reality. James goes on to tell us that the customer ended up being a repeat customer over time. She became a customer for life. And as Patrick puts it,
it's not always, I mean, I think we've all probably come across the people that are the true product knowledge gurus, right? But they can spend all day spewing knowledge, but if you're not really listening and communicating, you know, you don't really know if you're saying something that the customer really cares about or not, you know, and that's, I think that's what you're saying is that if you can communicate back to them what they're looking to find out and control that conversation, then that's how people perceive you as the expert.
As we move through our conversation with James, you can tell he's a veteran, in more ways than one, obviously. But in terms of the car business, James has learned over time that one of the things he loves to do is train new salespeople.
His training philosophy starts with an understanding on why customers come to the dealership in the first place.
Get people to believe that if somebody comes on that lot and they had the entire planet Earth to be somewhere else, but they're here to fill some kind of a need. They have a problem. And if you keep that in mind and you care and you ask the right questions, they're going to tell you how to sell them.
Agreed. and he shares with us a story about a new guy who he worked with, a newbie who got stuck in the huddle. The new guy has picked up bad habits and bad car sales language and is using words and phrases like tire kicker or stroker when referring to customers. Language and terms he probably didn't even know existed before he got into the car business. James can tell that he's discouraged, and he can tell that the biggest problem is the newbie's mindset. So he approaches it like this. He explains.
But he understood. I explained to him, look at all the places in Las Vegas where a person could be. If you weren't looking to buy a car, would you come here? And he agreed he would not. And I explained that they were here to buy a car. They didn't know probably which one or how it was all going to work, but their needs weren't met. And that's okay. This is a learning experience. And here's what I said, and the light bulb went off for him. In order to sell what John Brown buys, you must first see through John Brown's eyes. And I use those kind of phrases all the time, and people hold on to them. I've heard people say, God, I heard you in the back of my mind saying this or saying that. But it's true. If you don't know exactly what's important to that person, you're either going to get lucky and take an order, or they're going to go away.
Furthermore,
just because a person comes and says, hey, I want to look at the Camrys, I'm interested in the Camry, doesn't mean that the Camry is the car best for them to buy. So it comes back to asking a lot of questions. What got you thinking about the Camry? What are you driving now? What do you like best about it? If you could have improved anything, what would it have been? Why'd you pick this story? If you get in there deep enough, you're going to find out how you can satisfy their needs.
Now remember, James is currently in the sales position. Technically, it's not his job to train salespeople. And Patrick makes a good point here.
I think it's a great point to show that you went through those ranks and came through your cycle of your career thus far, and now you're in a sales position, but you're still that mentor and teacher, it sounds like, and you still share that knowledge and information. And I think for those of us that have been around a little while, when you find that to be your passion, that's something you can do from any position within the dealership. It doesn't have to be a management position to be able to be that kind of a coach. And that's what really spurs a lot of growth in our industry. And that's been really what we're trying to attack.
James is not only a mentor and teacher, he's also a student of the business. He has a library filled with books and resources.
It's actually an office I had to rent because it takes up so much space. That's 30 years of books. I have studied psychology, marketing, sales, metaphysics. There's a spiritual side to this also. In one of my biographies for a group I belong to, I call myself an information junkie, and that's what I am. I'm an information junkie. I like high tech. I like social media. I like getting better. I like people. It's a big part of it. It all comes together. It's perfect for this business.
So, as we're discussing different books and resources, he mentions one that we share in common, a book that I first read many years ago, and that really has influenced my life and career.
There's a book called Customers for Life by Carl Sewell. He inherited a Cadillac store down in Dallas, Texas. Now he has a Lexus empire. And he talks about those little things you can do, the opportunities to make sure people never do business with anybody else ever. And I took that book to heart. There's a lot of things I do that I don't have to do, but I also capitalize on them.
Not only has he taken the message of this book to heart, which if you haven't read it, I highly recommend you do, he's also put the strategy into practice. He shares an example of how he leverages going above and beyond the call of duty as a marketing tool. Here he highlights an example of when a customer can't come to the dealership, so he does a home delivery.
And when I'm doing that, I'm going to be filming that. I have videos up there showing home delivery on Instagram. Now on Periscope, I'm doing it live. On Instagram, there's videos there. And I highlight the fact that I'm delivering a car to somebody's house, especially when it's in somebody else's market. One of our competitors, the name of the store is the name of the community. So I made a point that I had it all tagged up that while I'm driving there and I'm filming it, that people understand I'm out there in that part of town making a home delivery. And I'm going to get pictures, and I'm going to get videos, and I'm going to post them. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, my YouTube channel, and now Periscope. I think Periscope's going to be huge.
Smart. He's creating customers for life with the service he's providing, and he's capitalizing on this effort by using it as marketing material via social. And I just want to point out that James is not a spring chicken. I broke a cardinal rule and asked his age. He obliged.
58.
So this just goes to show that if you want to continue learning and be at the forefront of technology, you can, regardless of your age. You just need to want to. This is inspiring to me.
James is taking some of the foundational sales training resources, books like Customers for Life and Jackie B. Cooper's seminar teachings, and he's combining them with social media strategies. He even says,
But Periscope is huge. I keep telling everybody about it, but they don't believe me. Same thing with Twitter.
I agree with him. I'm not sure why someone wouldn't listen, because this guy is onto something. He's less typical than most.
He is, and he actually considers himself more of a marketer than a car salesman when it all boils down to it.
The reason I do this is, first and foremost, I'm a marketer. I don't consider myself a car salesman. I consider myself a marketer of James Johnson.
A marketer of the product and service he provides.
He also notes, like many top-performing sales pros, that it's important to use your time wisely.
There's a lot of downtime in the car business, and it's a perfect opportunity to go out there and actually create a presence, to market oneself and to be branded and actually have people looking for you.
I couldn't agree more. Use your time wisely, create a schedule, and stick to it.
In closing, to those of you listening that are contemplating how or if you're going to take your business to the next level, James says,
No, everybody won't do it, thank God, because not everybody could do it. When you want to stand above the crowd has to stay below. But there are some people that will take the initiative. There are some people out there that will do the work necessary to promote themselves and become a perceived and hopefully actual professional. And what I find is people who will go the extra yard, those people really are the professionals. Those are the people I would want to buy a car from or want someone in my family to buy a car from.
And lastly, as Patrick puts it, stay hungry.
I think that's the secret to the whole picture, is that there's this sense of never being satisfied, and the people that we've come across that are truly exceptional, it's not that, I don't want to put that in a negative tone, but it's about, they want to constantly learn and grow, and part of that is the interactions with people as well, because that's really the best resource, face-to-face learning about people. And when you put all that together, that's when you start really finding satisfaction in what you do. And I think that people get beat up because they stop growing, and then they start feeling that pressure and their disgust for the customers that are allegedly coming in just to waste your time. And it becomes
there's no such thing.
Exactly, right?
There's no such thing.
So,
unless they're a tourist.
Exactly. Yeah, well, yeah, maybe out there, that's for sure.
Sometimes we get tourists from Canada that want to see the American cars. But that's okay. Or Germany.
A special thank you to James Johnson for being a guest on the show. For show notes, go to belesstypical.com/021. Be sure to subscribe to the show so you don't miss an episode. You can find all previous episodes on iTunes, Stitcher, or our website.
Our theme song is by the mysterious Breakmaster Cylinder. All episode editing and mixing is done by us, a couple of amateurs learning as we go.
2 items before we sign off. Number 1, please take a moment to share our show with your friends, family, and coworkers. Sharing is caring, and we appreciate your support. Number 2, if you or anyone you know are conducting car sales in a less typical way, please reach out to us. We want to hear your story, and there's a chance you could be featured on an upcoming show. Send me an email so we can connect. My email address is courtney@belesstypical.com. Behind the scenes. Do we have enough room? The workbook is from 1987. It's almost as old as I am. But classics never really go out of style. Think about it. We still summon fashion inspiration from Jackie O. The quote, "Ask not what your country can do for you, what you can do." That's not the quote. Sorry, JFK.
What can your country do for you?
I'll try again.
Hey, Laura here from LauraDrives.com and Alan Ram's Proactive Training Solutions. Thank you for tuning in to the Laura Drive segment on Auto Dealer Live. Today, I want to talk about something that's super important to me that I hope that you'll take action on. The biggest question that I get from people, from salespeople, from dealerships all over the country is, what do I do? Where do I start? Or where do I begin to maximize my effort on social media? Whether it's creating visibility, again, for a dealership or visibility for a salesperson. Where do I start? My answer has always been the same. It's start with video. Video is absolutely what I'm best known for, and I stumbled upon it with a small understanding that because Google owned YouTube, it would probably be my best kind of medium to create visibility, right? I understood that there was some organic search engine benefits innately with YouTube. So I started my effort there. I knew I needed to try and kind of compete with the dealership search engine budget a little bit and show up, become visible, have people introduced to Laura, the car salesperson that sells Toyota in Montana. A video is 53 times more likely to show up on the first page of Google than any other type of content. 53 times more likely. Your organic search engine optimization is maximized when you start creating content on YouTube. YouTube, if they like you, if people are really watching your videos, maybe commenting a little bit, they're also going to pump you up a little bit. They're going to show you and recommend your video to people watching other videos about, let's say, the Camry. People are watching, maybe doing a little research. We know that all of our customers are doing research and shopping online. So customers watching a video about the Camry, YouTube recommends your video just in the side there, 2015 Toyota Camry XSE, the video that you just did, just featuring a little bit about the car and how sexy it looks. Customer watches that video and bam, there's an introduction that you might have not otherwise had. Visibility is so important for garnering attention in the online space where, again, we know all of our customers are doing research and shopping online before they ever walk into a dealership. So again, I recommend hopping on video. Let me just show you a little bit video-wise, maybe montage some clips together of some of the things I did to get your brain rolling on different topics to start to upload them and really utilize video. Take a look.
I want to give you my top 5 picks for my favorite elements of the redesign on the XLE model. Here's a couple lessons that we can learn from a 21-year-old car buyer. I want to show you the amazing technology that you get with the Prius plug-in hybrid advance. So there are my recommendations for car camping, again, something we love to do in the Northwest. I want to give you 6 tips for the perfect test drive. We want to cover today 3 mistakes that the average person makes when financing a vehicle. I want to bust the biggest myth that plagues the Prius, which is that it's a small car. And this is the first 2014 Toyota Highlander hybrid to hit the ground. And let's take a look at some of the other things that I love in this vehicle. I've got an awesome used car here that you have to check out. Today, I want to share why I love Camry.
So hopefully you get a good feel for all of the different topics that I covered. And again, the content doesn't have to be profound. It just has to exist for it to begin working for you. Now, dual benefit of video is you can upload a little video to YouTube. Again, have all of those search engine benefits, all of that visibility that I mentioned. And you can also take that video, upload it to Facebook. Facebook is favoring video as a type of content. Your audience, your connections, your friends are going to see video more than they're going to see a simple text post or even a photo. You notice that video is auto-playing in your newsfeed, and this is something that absolutely the Ryan girls have shared, that we need to really create videos and share them on social, because honestly, it's a preferred medium. Facebook is really favoring it. So let's take advantage of that. Let's put it on YouTube. Let's put it on Facebook. And again, grow visibility. Stay top of the mind with our connections on Facebook and introduce us to new connections on YouTube. So please consider video. If you're already getting started making it, really maximize how many videos can you make. Can you come in 10 minutes early and make a 1.5-minute long video and upload it to YouTube before you start your day? Maybe share some favorite features or a new feature on a redesigned model, or just something you want to spotlight that you think would be helpful or insightful to your clients or prospective clients. Sharing that, again, it doesn't have to be profound. Doesn't have to be terribly long. It doesn't have to be 15 minutes, and it doesn't have to be perfectly produced at Steven Spielberg level. It can be filmed with your smartphone, uploaded simply to YouTube, and begin working for you. So that's the biggest thing that I wanted to share for the Laura Drive segment. Again, I really hope that you dive into video and experience some of the success and the visibility that I was fortunate enough to have experienced as well. I've got to shout out that we've got a social selling course coming out on Adapt VT that I developed with Alan Ram. So we've got more about the how to create content, what kind of videos get results. So that's something to look forward to. But in the meantime, get your practice in, get started, get rolling, and if you've already begun, really start maximizing it. Upload regularly and keep that search engine and that visibility and that social media favoritism in mind with video, and make sure that it's your default, the thing that you focus the most energy on, and I'm sure you'll see results. Thank you guys again for tuning in to the Laura Drive segment on Auto Dealer Live. I'm hoping to see some of you at the Women in Automotive Conference. I'm speaking there next month in Orlando. And again, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you guys.